You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 458, Winners Were All Aggrieved Subscription 3. Chapter 458, Chapter 127 Winners Were All Aggrieved Subscription. Lin Yao smiled and said, I called, but the teacher didn't pick up. He might be busy, but it's okay. The teacher is broad-minded and won't mind. Then I can only thank Brother Lin again. I hope Brother Lin won't be implicated. It's okay. Lin Yao waved his hand generously. It was just a small matter. As they spoke, the two of them had already walked to a small villa. A villa was not something that could be found in the air. However, Lu Hong was a genius teaching assistant and was not lacking in money. Naturally, he would not live in an ordinary dormitory building. In the villa, Lu Hong was calculating his gains and losses today. He was somewhat happy in his heart. He had gained a lot. He was also thinking about the trouble in the future. Overall, it was not a big trouble. As for Su Yu and the others who weren't convinced and went to look for Zhou Pingsheng and the others, Lu Hong smiled. Go and look for them. Who would believe you? When the information was fake and exposed, he would be Ling Yun. Not to mention that it had nothing to do with him. Even if it did, he wasn't too worried. Could the higher-ups kill him? He wasn't the main person in charge. Zhou Pingsheng was still on top. Just as he was thinking, the doorbell rang. Lu Hong's willpower spread out for a moment, and in the next moment, his face was blank. Su Yu. No, there was also Lin Yao. What the hell? How did these two brats get together? They were enemies. Looking at Lin Yao's intimate attitude, he leaned in front of Su Yu and whispered to him. That smile, no matter how he looked at it, it didn't look like an enemy. Lu Hong was dumbfounded. Why did Su Yu come looking for him? Also, what was the situation with these two? They came for the information. Lu Hong judged in his heart and was a little surprised. This kid actually dared to come looking for him. He was quite brave. He didn't care too much. What he cared more was, what the hell was Lin Yao? You idiot, have you forgotten the pain of being humiliated by Su Yu? Why did I take in such an idiot student? Lu Hong was late, but he still came out to open the door. When the courtyard door opened, Lin Yao hurriedly said, Teacher. Su Yu also said respectfully, Teacher Lu, sorry for disturbing you. What's the matter? Lu Hong's tone was calm. Just as Lin Yao was about to speak, Su Yu said sincerely, I'm here to thank teacher and also to apologize to teacher. Lu Hong was confused. At this moment, Lin Yao thought for a moment and opened a small package in his hand. He deliberately showed it to Lu Hong. Lu Hong didn't pay much attention at first, but he heard Su Yu say, I shouldn't have treated Brother Lin like that last time. I've already apologized to Brother Lin. I spent quite a lot of 300 merit points, and only some miscellaneous items for cultivation are left. Miscellaneous items? Lu Hong was slightly stunned. He looked at the bag of things, and his expression changed slightly. Damn it, what did you mean by giving these things to Lin Yao? He recognized that these things were in his hands. Su Yu didn't waste any more words. He took out another thing and said seriously, Teacher, I have no money left. This thing can be my gift to teacher. I want to become teacher's disciple. A piece of silk appeared in Su Yu's hand. At this moment, Lu Hong's face turned green. Heaven splitter. Damn it, this thing, could he take it? This was Zheng Yunhui's spoils of war. It was fine if it appeared in Su Yu's hand, but if it appeared in his body, if it was discovered by others, he could just wait to die. No, it couldn't appear in Su Yu's body either. Senior brother Zhou and the others had all seen it. This thing, Su Yu, had lost. At this moment, Su Yu handed over Heaven Breaker with both hands. At the same time, he said, "Teacher, it's not that I, Su Yu, want to betray the many holy pros faction. It's me. I really have nowhere else to go. Only teacher has been extremely kind to me, so I want to join teacher's tutelage." At this moment, Lin Yao was also stunned. "You want to join a faction? This will be very troublesome. From now on, you will have enmity with the many holy pros faction." Lu Hong's expression changed uncertainly. When Su Yu was about to kneel down, even though he knew that he wouldn't kneel, he still supported him. "I can't." Just as he finished speaking, Su Yu said with some grief and indignation, "Teacher isn't willing to accept me? Is it because I'm insincere? Alright, then from tomorrow onwards, I won't be able to kneel down before the district head of the mission district. I only hope that teacher will accept me as a disciple. I want to let everyone in the academy see my sincerity. I want to acknowledge you as my teacher once again. Lu Hong." At this moment, Lu Hong understood. He took a deep look at Su Yu. "Good lad, you want to King roast me on a bonfire. What do you mean by acknowledge him as your teacher? Bullsh T. If this lad were to really kneel down in the mission area and acknowledge him as his teacher from tomorrow onwards, he would be finished. Even if Zhou Pingsheng was as dumb as a pig, he would still doubt the authenticity of the information. Moreover, there was still Elder Zheng and Manor Head Zhou above. These two were just not at the scene. Once this happened, they would probably be thoroughly investigated. Lu Hong looked around and his gaze changed for a moment. He said in a low voice, "Come in and tell me. It's not convenient to be seen by others." Su Yu said in a low voice, "Teacher is willing to accept me. Otherwise, I will kneel here for a long time tonight." Lu Hong's expression was unsightly. At the side, Lin Yao was still a little confused, however, at this moment, he hurriedly said, "Su Yu, go in and tell me. What are you doing? Didn't you say that you wanted to apologize to teacher? Why did you suddenly want to acknowledge him as your teacher? This. If you want to acknowledge him as your teacher, aren't we fellow disciples?" At this moment, he couldn't help but look at Lu Hong as though he was looking forward to it. His meaning was very clear. "Teacher, why don't you accept him? This fellow's talent is too great. Furthermore, he's a good person. If he really becomes a fellow disciple, the matter between him and me wouldn't just be a joke, but a good story. A good story of not fighting and not knowing each other." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 459, Those Who Won. Chapter 127, All Felt Aggrieved. Subscription 4. Chapter 459, Those Who Won. Chapter 127, All Felt Aggrieved. Subscription 4. Moreover, his department didn't seem to be too strong. Since Su Yu had entered the sect, then his fellow disciples would be even stronger. Seeing Lin Yao's gaze, Lu Hong really swallowed a mouthful of blood into his stomach. "Idiot! Idiot! You deserve to be my student." Lu Hong cursed in his heart. How could I have lost my mind? If I accept this student, I won't accept him no matter how rich I am in the future. Look at Su Yu. This bastard is forcing me to accept him as my master. Do you really think that he will accept me as his master? If I accept this kid today, tomorrow, not only will I have to fork out the 40,000 merit points, I will also have to compensate for the 40,000 merit points that they took away. In addition, I will also have to bear the wrath of 2 mountains and seas and 1 Ling Yun. Do you think they are fools? No, it is the wrath of the entire divine script department. A traitor like me, who cheated my own people, and who cheated so many merit points at once, those people will strangle me to death. As he cursed in his heart, Lu Hong's expression did not change. He looked at Su Yu and said, "Come in and say it. If you don't come in, then kneel down. If there is something to discuss, we can talk about it. If we make everyone look bad, then I don't know who will benefit. Suyu thought for a moment before nodding slightly and entering the hospital. In the hall. It was not very luxurious, but it was very tasteful and clean. Suyu suddenly felt a little admiration for this fellow. This old sly fellow was indeed different. His family was countless times cleaner than Bai Feng's. It was obvious at a glance that he was a good person. How could that be? Lu Hong sat down on the sofa by himself. When he saw that Lin Yao was about to take a seat, he smiled and said, "Lin Yao, I'll talk to Suyu. You can go back first." Teacher. Spend more time cultivating and learn from Suyu. This kid has already reached the critical mass stage. I'm just teasing you. Lu Hong smiled and said, "You're too far behind. This won't do." Lin Yao was stunned. He looked at Suyu and Suyu said humbly, "Teacher, I'm sorry. I spent senior brother Lin's merit points on this. I still have to apologize to brother Lin." Lin Yao was a little stunned. At this moment, his mind was a little confused. He nodded in a daze. The next moment, Lu Hong smiled and said, "I'm returning these things to Suyu." How petty. Teacher was prepared to give you something earlier. Today is just the right day. After saying that, he took out something from the drawer of the coffee table. This is the Earth origin fruit. Don't use it now. When you break through, I can help you open one or two apertures. You should enter the second and third levels of the Qianjun realm as soon as possible. At the very least, you should be able to close the gap. As he spoke, he passed the bag to Lin Yao with a smile on his face. Then, he took the bag from Lin Yao's hand and casually threw it to Suyu. He smiled and said, "You guys, why are you so polite? Last time, when you beat him, the merit points would be yours. Lin Yao can afford to lose, but it would be embarrassing if he can't afford to lose." As soon as he said this, Lin Yao looked at the Earth origin fruit in his hand and suddenly felt a little excited and touched. He hurriedly said, "Thank you, teacher. Yes, I can afford to lose. Teacher, I won't embarrass you. I will definitely catch up to Brother Su as soon as possible. Even if I can't, I must become stronger so that I won't be a burden to you. Not giving you." Those words. Clearly, he treated Suyu and Lu Hong as his family. Lu Hong even wanted to beat him to death. "Damn it, if it weren't for the things in your hands, I wouldn't give you a ghost. It's fine. Go back and cultivate early. Don't delay the golden time of cultivation." "Yes." Lin Yao said excitedly, "Teacher, Suyu, I'll leave first then. I definitely won't embarrass you guys. Suyu, you're in grave danger. I'll catch up to you." Suyu had the same smile as Lu Hong. He nodded and said with a smile, "Of course, I believe in Brother Lin. I'm just a stupid bird that flew first and left first. We still have a long life ahead of us." "That's right." Lin Yao became even more excited. With a satisfied smile, he left with some excitement. His teacher had truly recognized him. He actually gave such a precious thing to him. In the next moment, Lu Hong's voice was heard, "Don't tell anyone about what happened tonight. After all, he still has many divine runes. Some people can't stand seeing me as a good person." "Silly child, do you understand?" Lin Yao's heart tightened and he hurriedly said, "Teacher, don't worry. I won't even tell my grandfather. And, go back. I look forward to the day when you enter the top 100. Teacher still has a gift waiting for you." "Thank you, teacher." Lin Yao left with joy, excitement, and uncertainty. At this moment, he felt touched that a man would die for his best friend. His teacher was so kind. The atmosphere became awkward after Lin Yao left. The cheers and laughter from earlier were all gone. There was silence. After a long while, Suyu smiled and said, "Teacher, I have thought it through. Tomorrow, I will give you another plaque. Thank you for your help today. I can't repay you for your great kindness. Lu Hong looked at him and regained his calmness. He said calmly, you can go and give it to them. I don't believe that they can't see through such a simple backstabbing scheme. Suyu chuckled and said, even if they can see through it, someone has to bear the responsibility. Could it be, that Curator Zhou has to bear the responsibility? Suyu smiled and said, Curator Zhou is Principal Zhou's student. They share the same surname, and they might even be relatives. If Curator Zhou bears the responsibility, that is the responsibility of the principal. Could it be, that Teacher Lu thinks that they will push the responsibility onto Curator Zhou? Lu Hong raised his eyebrows. You know quite a lot. Just a little. Suyu said humbly, how can I know as much as Teacher? Even the information is fake. I really admire Teacher. I think that I have done my best. I even fought with Jing Yunhui to the death and produced blood essence on the spot. Teacher actually doubted me. I really admire you. Lu Hong said calmly, you didn't record it, right? You're not going to trick me, right? I don't know anything. Teacher misunderstood. How could I do that? Suyu smiled. He dug into his pocket and threw out a recorder. He threw out a recording note, patted his pocket, and said seriously, it's gone. Lu Hong wanted to curse. You. Lu Wenyan taught you that? This fellow, why is he so dark? He doesn't look like Bai Feng at all. Suyu smiled foolishly and said, Teacher, the children of the poor are in charge. Teacher knows my situation. I'm too poor. I only have talent and no resources. In the end, it's all for naught. I'm not like Teacher. There are some things that I need to strive for myself. If I don't strive for them myself, how can I become stronger? Lu Hong agreed and nodded. That's right, everything depends on myself. Relying on others, that's unreliable. In other words, Teacher and I have something in common. Suyu smiled and said, I won't make things difficult for Teacher. Teacher took 60,000 merit points and gave me half of it. 80,000 points and he gave us 20,000 points. Jing Yunhui took more than half and gave me less than 5,000 merit points. I really can't accept this. Lu Hong looked at him in a daze and lost his composure. After a long while, he gritted his teeth and said, You only took 5,000 points. It's true. If I lie to Teacher, I'll die a horrible death. Suyu took out his merit card, he said seriously, that's why I can't accept this. I put in so much effort and exhausted everything to set up this trap. In the end, I took at least 5,000 points. 1/16 of it. Can I accept this? Suyu said sincerely, Teacher, it's not that I, Suyu, am greedy, but no matter what, I can't just take this little bit, right? Jing Yunhui said that he had put in a lot of effort and that he was a member of the Jing family. I can't afford to offend him either. He said that he took 15,000 points. I have nothing to say, but Teacher took 60,000 points. Isn't that too much? Lu Hong's heart was really tired. He felt that Jing Yunhui had to give Suyu some sort of sweetness. 40,000 points. 10,000 points had to be given to Suyu, right? In the end, he gave 5,000 points. And that kid even said that the transaction amount was 80,000 points. It would be a wonder if Suyu was willing. If it were him, he would not be willing either. It was too little. The key point was that Lu Hong was also aggrieved. He did not know whether to laugh or cry as he said, if I said that I only took 40,000 points and the rest were swallowed by Jing Yunhui, would you believe it? Suyu said softly, I'll believe whatever Teacher says. Even if I don't believe it. I have to believe it. Lu Hong felt a little aggrieved. F***ck, it's true. I didn't lie to you. But Suyu clearly had an expression that said that he would take it seriously. Instead, it made him feel even more aggrieved. At this moment, he also experienced the aggrieved feeling of having clearly won but had lost miserably. It's true. I only took 40,000 yuan, not 60,000 yuan. Jing Yunhui. Lu Hong gritted his teeth, feeling a sense of defeat for the first time. How could there be so many black-hearted people these days? Su Yu, Jing Yunhui, Xia Huyo, Jia Mingjin, this batch, what kind of F*King students are they? P.S. Sleep early tonight. Tomorrow, I have to go back to my hometown to pay respects to my ancestors. Tomorrow, I will wake up early and update a chapter. At night, I will come back and update another chapter. 2 chapters. I have to warn you in advance that it will take more than 4 hours to travel back and forth. It is something that I cannot refuse. I was born in the countryside. My family attaches great importance to this matter. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 460, Battle of Wits 1. Chapter 460, Chapter 128 Battle of Wits 1. In the hall. Silence fell once again. Lu Hong glanced at Su Yu from the corner of his eyes and suddenly smiled. He said, Su Yu, I've seen a lot of rookies, but there are few as interesting as you. Your previous plan was actually pretty good. I almost fell for it. Thank you, teacher, for your praise. Su Yu also smiled. It was just a competition of smiles. Who was afraid of who? Not to mention, he liked to smile now. It really had something to do with Lu Hong. He learned it from him. With a smile on his face, he might be thinking of something bad in his heart. This was what Lu Hong had taught him during the first lesson. Su Yu did not forget that this fellow's bright smile had attracted many girls to have a good impression of him. Lu Hong looked at him and felt a little awkward. He could not help but cough lightly. That. Don't laugh. It's a little uncomfortable. I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. When we were young, we were really similar. Su Yu wanted to laugh, but he held it in. I'll grant your wish. Lu Hong sighed emotionally. He looked at Su Yu again and slowly said, Su Yu, you came to me this time because you want to take back those merit points. At this point, Su Yu naturally wouldn't hide it. He said directly, I don't dare. After all, Teacher Lu also bears a part of the risk. If you give me half of it, I'll be very satisfied. Then, he said, if teacher needs it, give me a third. Actually, it's nothing much. I just feel unfair. After all, I've sacrificed a lot for this plan. Lu Hong laughed. He didn't speak, as if he was thinking about something. After thinking for a while, he looked at Su Yu and fell silent. After a long time, he suddenly said, You're stronger than Bai Feng. Su Yu didn't know how to respond. He couldn't respond. What? Are you afraid? You must be joking, teacher. My teacher is one of the peerless geniuses in the world. I can't compare to him. Ha ha ha. Lu Hongchang laughed. You are not real. After laughing for a while, Lu Hong seemed to have thought of something. He gently exhaled. Su Yu, if you don't mind, listen to me. Teacher, please speak. Su Yu maintained a respectful attitude. Even if he wanted to stab him to death right now, he had to maintain a smile. Stab him to death with a smile. I came from a small aristocratic family. My family isn't too strong, but I have some strength. I'm not a direct descendant of the family, I'm just an illegitimate child. Lu Hong sank into his memories. After a long time, he slowly said, When I was young, I was as bitter as you. Perhaps I was even more bitter than you. An illegitimate child, do you know what that means? Su Yu frowned. He thought for a moment and said, The son of a stepmother. Lu Hong really wanted to retort. After a long while, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He nodded and said, "That counts. That's exactly what it means. My mother is my father's concubine. Those brothers of mine may be called brothers, but in reality, they're not even as good as outsiders. My father and grandfather only value those who are legitimate children. As for Lu He and I, living under someone else's roof, we're only treated like servants." Suyu frowned and said, "Manor head Xia once said that the great Xia manor will no longer implement the system of wives and concubines. Why? Manor head is the manor head. I'm just saying." Lu Hong said indifferently, "In this world, when men become soldiers, countless people die in battle every year. There are more women than men. They're not strong and don't engage in childbirth. It's really like what Manor head Xia said. With the system of monogamy, many women will lose their reliance. Sometimes, Manor head Xia is not suitable to be in power, so he can come up with whatever he wants." Lu Hong criticized and quickly continued, "Hear me out. I'm a concubine, so even if I had talent when I was young, my family didn't value me too much. The reason I walked the path of a civilized master is because I met a good person." Lu Hong sank into his memories. 16 years ago, when I was still in a secondary school, I met an old man. He was the first teacher of my civilization. He taught me the language of the 10,000 races, and he gave me the beginning of the divine text. He taught me many, many things. It was he who gave me the capital to enter a civilized school, and gave me the qualifications to reach where I am today. In my heart, he was my teacher, and he was my benefactor. As Suyu listened, he felt vaguely familiar. Why did it sound like he was talking about himself? Lu Wenyan. He felt a little absent-minded. Lu Hong continued, "Under the guidance of the old man, my results were outstanding, and I was admitted to the Institute of Civilization. On the day that I was admitted to the Institute of Civilization, the old man passed away. I was in great pain, and I felt very regretful. I even wanted to give up on admission." Lu Hong was in pain, and his eyes were red. He sighed. "Before he died, he told me not to give up, to keep going. To fulfill his last wish, to go to Great Xia's Civilization University, to complete his unfinished business. At that time, I didn't understand." Lu Hong's face was filled with bitterness, "Until I entered Civilization University and became a member of the Single Divine Language Department. One day, another old man came to me and told me that my teacher was his best friend, one of the most important members of his department, and one of the leaders of his department. The old man was very shocked that I became a member of the Single Divine Language Department. He quickly made a decision and asked me to leave the Single Divine Language Department. However, I'm no longer a newcomer who doesn't know anything. I know. It's very difficult for him. It's very, very difficult for his department." Suyu's heart moved slightly and he felt a little strange. "So, I told him that I wanted to stay in the Single Divine Language Department. I wanted to become a nail in the Single Divine Language Department for his department." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 461, Battle of Wits 2. Chapter 461, Chapter 128 Battle of Wits 2. The old man was unwilling. He was an open and above-board person. He disdained to use such methods, but I was different. I had suffered and suffered. The old man was too open-minded. A gentleman like him could do research, but it was not suitable to expand his branch. His branch was suppressed and suppressed. It was even on the verge of extinction. Lu Hong gritted his teeth and said, "His faction is also the faction of my teacher. Teacher's unfinished business, his dying wish, is to allow this faction to continue to grow and regain its glory. No matter what, I will not stand by and watch this faction be destroyed. I will not let teacher's last hope be destroyed." Su Yu's expression changed again and again as he looked at him. Lu Hong regained his composure. That is why from then on, I have taken root in the single divine script school. I want to become stronger. Only when I become stronger will I have the right to speak. Only when I become stronger will I be able to fight for more things. Only when I become stronger will I be able to protect that school. Right now, I am ascending to the 8th level. I need Ling Yun as soon as possible. Ascending to the sky is not a big deal. Only Ling Yun and even the mountains and seas can enter the true upper echelons. Lu Hong looked at Su Yu with a burning gaze. Su Yu, I want to become stronger. I need more merit points. Do you understand what I mean? Su Yu's gaze was extremely strange. After a long while, he said in a low voice, "You mean, undercover?" Lu Hong sighed softly. "You're a smart person. If it were by Feng or Qin Yong, I would never tell them in my life. You're different. I see hope in you." Lu Hong said bitterly, "Undercover, maybe. I almost forgot my identity." "You are right. The old man who came to the academy looking for me was your grandmaster, Elder Hong Tan. And the teacher I met in the academy was one of the people who were chased away 50 years ago. Like your teacher Lu Wenyan in the southern Yuan, he was also chased away. However, he was not as lucky as Elder Lu. He did not rise up in his life and passed away just like that, leaving behind countless regrets." Lu Hong laughed self-deprecatingly. "To be honest, all these years, I even felt despair. I wanted to give up and forget all of this. I wanted to follow my single God language path. Here, I also have a Shanghai realm teacher. Shanghai realm is very strong. My teacher wasn't even able to fly in the air. He only taught me for a few years. Do I really have to fulfill his last wish? The group of geniuses from 50 years ago didn't even complete their goal. Should I, a mediocre person, complete it?" Lu Hong became more and more bitter. "Seeing you today, I feel like I saw the me from back then. I was foolish and filled with ambition, wanting to complete everything. In fact, in the end, we will still feel our insignificance." At this moment, Suyu was beyond shocked. Undercover. This guy was from the multi-god literature department. His experience was similar to his own. Back then, he was taught by a genius from the multi-god literature department in a middle-level academy. After he entered the academy, he didn't join the multi-god literature department. By accident, he joined the single-god literature department. Hong Tan discovered him, but he wasn't willing to leave. Instead, he wanted to hide in the single-god literature department. Su Yu's mouth was dry. What evidence do you have?" "Evidence?" Lu Hong laughed. "Why would I use this to lie to you? If I say evidence." Lu Hong hesitated for a moment and said softly, "You picked up, Heaven Breaker. Don't tell me you really think that I want to scheme against you. Using something that costs thousands of merit points to scheme against a mere student like you." Su Yu's body trembled slightly. "I was just looking for an excuse to give it to you on purpose." Lu Hong sighed, "Not only that, I even helped you to ward off a lot of trouble in secret. Otherwise, after you recovered your temperament, there would have been people coming to find trouble with you long ago. I asked Lu He to come forward and say that I wanted Lu He to teach you a lesson, so those people were all stopped. Your senior sister Wuxia was seriously injured. I was worried that you would follow in the footsteps of others, so I kept stopping them from making a move against you. By Feng, this fool, knows how to run a business. I actually support a batch of resources to him every month at the research center, but he himself is muddle-headed. He always thinks that the academy gave it to him. What an idiot." Lu Hong looked at Su Yu and smiled. "If these aren't enough, then let me say a few more words. Inside the Wentan Research Center, there is a swan eye and a fire crow." He told Su Yu about the few living demons and said with a smile, "These were all said by Elder Hong when he was chatting with me back then. If not for that, no one from your side could enter. How would I know? Su Yu swallowed his saliva and looked at him in a daze. One of his own. Damn. Lu Hong sighed lightly, don't look at me like that. Actually, sometimes, I have forgotten my original intention. I said that I was hiding, but in fact, I was a little lost. Perhaps, the Divine Literature Department is really more suitable for me. The current situation of the Multi-Divine Literature Department is really indescribable. Until you entered the school. His eyes lit up and he said excitedly, I suddenly saw hope. I suddenly feel that the Multi-Divine Literature Department has been dormant for many years. It's time to have some vitality. You have brought me too many surprises. Su Yu was a little embarrassed. He pretended to be calm and said with a dry throat, that, teacher, you really. It's normal to be suspicious. Don't easily believe that anyone is right. Lu Hong smiled and said, I really admire this point of yours. The scoundrels of the Myriad Clan sect are even better at deceiving people. Actually, whether it's true or not, why do you need to make it so clear? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 462, Battle of Wits 3. Chapter 462, Chapter 128 Battle of Wits. He sighed with emotion. Let me tell you something from the bottom of my heart. If the multi-god literature department can't hold on any longer and there's really no way to bring back the dead, then I will be a single god literature department person for the rest of my life. I also have to survive. Su Yu, you may think that I'm very shameless. But, I want to live on. Su Yu was silent. After a long while, he said in a low voice, Teacher, I can understand. I hope so. Lu Hong smiled and said, Actually, I don't care about other people's opinions. It's enough to live as myself. Today, I really felt something. Seeing you, it's as if I see myself in the past. It's too similar. Elder Lu. I'm afraid that he's also full of expectations for you just like my teacher. Su Yu nodded slightly and couldn't help but think of Lu Wenyan. There was a hint of longing in his eyes. Lu Hong glanced at him from the corner of his eyes and smiled. Do your best. You've performed very well this time. Also, I won't admit it when we're outside. You're the one spreading rumors. You're still doing what you should have done in the past. After saying that, he said seriously, 80,000 merit points. I took 40,000 and gave the rest to Jing Yunhui. I was worried that you guys would take too much and attract some attention. Of course, I also had my own selfish motives. I wanted to enter Ling Yun as soon as possible and needed a treasure that was worth a lot. Now that you found me, I, Lu Hong, still have some selfish motives. Su Yu, I'll give you 10,000 merit points. As for the remaining 30,000 merit points, I need to purchase a treasure to help me advance. Only when I reach Ling Yun will I have enough authority to change some things. At this moment, Su Yu even wanted to say that there was no need. However, he was shocked in his heart. No way. I also want merit points. No, he said that he was a spy. Was he really a spy? Su Yu struggled a little. He wasn't sure. However, there were some things that seemed to be telling him that Lu Hong might really not be his enemy. For example, even though Heaven Breaker had drawn Jing Yunhui out, it was really worth a lot. Su Yu struggled for a moment before looking at Lu Hong with some uncertainty and confusion. Should I believe him? Lu Hong seemed to know that he was struggling. He smiled and said, I said that I will forget these words once I say them. You don't have to pay too much attention to it. I hope that you won't live like the next Lu Hong. Su Yu, live like you want to live. Teacher. Su Yu struggled a little and said in a low voice, that. I also need merit points. My strength is too low. I still have my father waiting for me on the heavenly battlefield to find him. I understand. Lu Hong nodded slightly, he smiled and said, you need merit points. It is easier for me to earn merit points. How about this, I will give you 15,000 merit points. I really need to buy a treasure for the rest. Su Yu, I will return it to you after I have successfully advanced. I will return the remaining 25,000 merit points to you. How about it? 15,000 merit points. Su Yu thought for a moment. That was already a lot. Adding on what he had on him, that would be 20,000 merit points. Even though he wasn't too sure, Su Yu felt that even if what Lu Hong said was fake, 15,000 merit points should be the maximum. What if Lu Hong fell out with him again? Nodding his head with a complicated expression, Su Yu exhaled and said, all right, Teacher Lu, then I'll accept it. I really need this. It's understandable. Lu Hong chuckled and took out a merit card from his body. This is an anonymous old merit card. You can take 15,000 merit points, just right. Su Yu felt a little awkward. Taking the card, he hesitated for a moment before saying awkwardly, that, can I check the balance? Lu Hong's heart was tired. I've already said this much, but this bastard is still so vigilant. Okay, you're good. Lu Hong smiled and said, being vigilant is a good thing. Su Yu was embarrassed and did not say anything more. He directly checked the card. Fortunately, it was really 15,000 points. After checking, the two of them fell into silence again. A moment later, Lu Hong smiled and said, go back. Forget everything that happened tonight. Do what you should do in the future. I won't treat you differently in front of outsiders. Lu He will still go and find trouble with you, and I will still suppress your faction. The same goes for you. Lu Hong said in a deep voice, just pretend that nothing happened, especially don't say anything to that idiot by phone. He is, not good in the head. Lu Hong said helplessly, it's not that I look down on him, but if he knew about this, he would probably ruin my big plans and your plans. He's a good hand at causing trouble. Got it. Su Yu responded, got up, and walked out. Walking to the door, he hesitated for a moment, then turned around and said, Teacher Lu, that teacher of yours, can you tell me his name? He died in a middle-class academy without anyone knowing. Our Department of Divine Literature. How sad. You brat. Lu Hong couldn't help but laugh. He didn't mind and said, Zhang Ruoling. He is a teacher of the 18th Middle-Class Academy in Great Xiao. He is considered a middle-class academy in the suburbs of Great Xiao. He passed away 9 years ago. You are pretty good. Su Yu laughed dryly and walked away. I still have to check it out. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to believe it completely. After Su Yu left, Lu Hong gently exhaled. After a while, he chuckled and said, interesting. This kid, damn it. In order to deceive you, I almost fooled myself. I sighed. It wasn't easy for me. This is wisdom. I don't know when Elder Hong will come back. By the time he finds out, I'll already be Ling Yun. I'll have used up all my merit points and the matter will be over, hee hee. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 463, Battle of Wits 4. Chapter 463, Chapter 128 Battle of Wits 4. Lu Hong smiled smugly. I really admire myself. This lie, which was also Su Yu, if it was my stupid disciple, he would have taken it seriously long ago. Why would he still need merit points? Perhaps he would even have to take out all the merit points he had on him to use for his advancement. 15,000. As he said this, he still felt some heartache. If he didn't lie, he wouldn't be able to get rid of Su Yu without 20,000 merit points. At least he saved 5,000 merit points. Moreover, this way, Su Yu, this kid, wouldn't keep staring at him. To be honest, this time, he was almost tricked by Su Yu, and he still had some lingering fear. Damn it, this kid was coming for me. He wanted to trick me into going bankrupt. Hee, go investigate. Elder Honggu isn't around, the investigations are all true, TSK. Lu Hong laughed once again, feeling admiration for his own wit. There really is an 18th high school, there really is his enrollment record, there really is that old man who was expelled, Zhang Ruoling, who really died 9 years ago. All of this is true. As for the fake, of course, it isn't my teacher who taught me. Lu Hong pursed his lips. No matter what, he was from a small aristocratic family. No matter what the Lu family did, it wouldn't be a problem for them to hire a few teachers from the myriad clan language. If a large family was so deceitful, would they still be able to produce talents? There was a school within the family, and he was just a bystander in a middle-tier school. Outside the villa, Su Yu was still pondering over this question as he walked. Was this for real? He wasn't sure at all. Teacher and Uncle Master don't know either. Only Grand Teacher knows. Su Yu had a headache. Lu Hong's words caused him to sink into a dilemma. If they were really on the same side, then what should he do? This time, out of the 80,000 merit points, he took 20,000, Lu Hong took 25,000, Uncle Master took 14,000, Zheng Yunhui took 19,000, and he had to add in the resources that Lu Hong had bought for him. The total was 21,000. In fact, Su Yu took the most. Including Chen Yong's side, he took 34,000 merit points. But Lu Hong also ate a lot. He was not one of them. Sooner or later, Su Yu would have to get back at him. But if he was one of them, although Lu Hong said that he would pretend not to know these things when he encountered them, how could he really pretend not to know them? Enduring humiliation and bearing a heavy burden, hiding in a single divine text department, how could he not take it seriously? Returning to the research center, Su Yu did not waste any time and headed straight for a small study in the living area. After rummaging through it, Su Yu quickly obtained a list of names. Zhang Ruoling was expelled in year 300 of the Anping calendar and entered the 18th middle school of the Great Xia Mansion as a teacher of the myriad languages. In year 341 of the Anping calendar, he died of illness. There really was such a person. Very soon, Su Yu took out his communication device and dialed a number. He said directly, "Which high school did Lu Hong graduate from?" "Wait, let me check for you." A moment later, Xia Huyo replied, "The 18th high school of the Great Xia Mansion." "What's wrong? Is he the son of a concubine of the Lu family?" "Yes." Su Yu stopped asking. If he asked again, it would easily expose Lu Hong's identity. "What's wrong?" Xia Huyo's interest was piqued and he asked, "Do you know something? Also, what exactly happened today?" "Su Yu, aren't we brothers? Can't you say a few more words?" Su Yu smiled and said, "It's nothing. I made a little money. Huyo, if you want to do business with me, then keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, this business might not succeed." Xia Huyu was a little excited. "Of course. Do you want the goods now?" He was excited. A big deal was coming. Initially, he had thought that he could only do a big deal after Su Yu entered the top 100 or even when he was free. But now, he might be able to do it soon. Xia Huyu laughed in his heart. No matter how many meritorious deeds Su Yu earned, in the end, it would still end up in his hands. This was the real deal. In business, burning the cold stove was indeed the way to get rich. If he got up alone, he would not have to worry about food and drink. "We'll talk about it tomorrow. It's not convenient now." "Understood." After hanging up the call, Xia Huyo laughed and clenched his fists. He was rich. And that kid Jing Yunhui was also rich. P.S. Next night, uncertain time. Sorry. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 464, Died a Horrible Death, 1. Chapter 464, Chapter 129 Died a Horrible Death, 1. Busy and busy, it was already late at night. Su Yu's plan had already been completed. Even if it wasn't perfect, everything was still going smoothly. In other places, the chain reaction caused by this fight between students wasn't over yet. In the faculty residential area, a thunderous rumble sounded. In the next moment, a figure fell from the sky, blood oozing out of his mouth and staining his face cloth red. Cough, cough, cough. The masked man who fell to the ground coughed for a while and shattered his face cloth. He said helplessly, "Stop fighting. I'm Chen Lin Hai. I admit defeat. I'll return to the Nine Heavens Academy immediately. I guarantee that I won't come. Which pavilion elder is coming? Leave the things behind." In the air, a figure appeared and disappeared. He said calmly, "Leave the things behind. Also, pay the entrance fee." The library lost 10 books of the original 10,000 clans of the Lingyun realm. You took them, right? Chen Lin Hai, who had fallen to the ground, had a helpless look on his face. What the hell was he going to take? How could he dare to go to the important place of your academy? It was obvious that he had cheated him. However, he had no choice. After dodging for a long time, he still couldn't avoid this pavilion elder. After exchanging a few moves, he was defeated directly. At this moment, he could only admit defeat. The number 1 academy truly lived up to its name. There were countless experts. Being caught here, it was already considered lucky to be able to spend money to avoid disaster. I didn't take it, Chen Lin Hai said, then immediately said, however, your academy has lost 10 original copies. I'm deeply regretful. I'm willing to donate 10 original copies of Lingyun to the Great Xia Civilization Academy. He couldn't admit that he had taken it. Otherwise, these bastards might set him up and say that he had trespassed into an important place. At that time, it wouldn't be a matter of 10 original copies. In the void, this pavilion elder seemed to be somewhat regretful. He smiled faintly and said, "Forget it, Scram. Send the things over tomorrow. Also, the next time you dare to trespass into the Great Xia Civilization Academy, you'll be here. You won't be able to leave. Understood?" Chen Lin Hai did not dare to say anything. He threw down a jade talisman and turned around to run. That was the process of Su Yu's blood essence production that he had obtained previously. However, he had already memorized it. If it did not exist, then it did not exist. On the other side, the people from the Nine Heavens Academy were chased away. A moment later, the void trembled. Another person laughed lightly and said, "The guy I followed has been found out. He is from the transformation department. Keep a close eye on him." Of course. The two exchanged a few words. Soon, another person said, "The guy I'm following is from the beast taming department. Don't move for now. Let's see if it's their department's idea or his own." One pavilion elder after another gathered. They were all those old guys who pretended to be geniuses. After a while, Jia Ming arrived. "Old Jia, how are things on your side?" Jia Ming was smiling but not smiling. His tone was complicated. After watching a super big show, I realized that the students who pretended to be students can really see many things that they can't see. They can see many things that they can't see. You guys really missed a big show today. What's the situation? Jia Ming exclaimed, "There are hidden dragons and crouching tigers." The young people of the academy were all talents. They were all set in their ways, layer after layer. You peeled off one layer and thought it was real, but in the end, you found that there was still something inside. Speak in human language. Jia Mingzhen said with a bitter smile, human language is that the things in your hands can be thrown away, it's fake. The Divine Literature Department suffered a great loss this time. They lost a total of 80,000 merit points. Not to mention, Zhou Mingren, that old ghost, was really rich. 80,000 merit points didn't even blink. It's so convenient for a few young people. One by one, they stared at this old ghost and pulled with all their strength. Their interest was immediately piqued. They hurriedly asked. Jia Mingzhen briefly explained for a while and then said, with a bitter smile, he said, I saw this in the hotel. I thought it was over. At that time, I was still lamenting that each and every one of them was a talent. In the end, I saw even more things at night. He had nothing to do, so he followed Su Yu for a while. In the end, it refreshed his worldview. Damn it. The seamless path, backstabbing, attacking the city, threatening, enticing, pulling strings, pretending to be a grandson. These few kids, one by one, followed one routine after another. He was overwhelmed by what he saw. Jia Mingzhen was filled with mixed feelings. It could only be said that they had left the era and were high and mighty. They had long lost the mood to pay attention to the young people below. If they were to really immerse themselves in it and take a look, they would be shocked beyond words. The new generation of fellows were that awesome. When the elders of the pavilion waited for him to finish speaking, they were also dumbfounded. Old Jia, that fellow Lu Hong, was it really arranged by old Ghost Hong? Jia Mingzhen smiled bitterly. It's hard to say whether it's true or not. According to what Lu Hong said later on, that was a lie. But, who knows if it's true or not? Whether it's true or not, 9 truths and 1 falsehood, who can tell? Anyway, I don't dare to easily trust these kids now. The few of them nodded, feeling worried. The young man was becoming more and more terrifying. And this Su Yu? Jia Mingzhen said with a sigh, this kid has talent, wisdom, and scheming, but he's still a little inexperienced. This is normal. To be honest, I really didn't expect him to be so bold. He didn't even fly in the air, but he actually dared to pull old Ghost Zhou's wool. How audacious. The few of them were speechless. Very soon, Jia Mingzhen said with a smile, that's good too. Let's not talk about it. This year's batch really has a talent. Everyone, our place of use has arrived. Our target is these few kids. Su Yu, Jing Yunhui, Xia Huyo, Wan Mingze. They are all targets of our attack. The pavilion elders nodded their heads at the same time. They were a little excited as they rubbed their fists together. They were waiting to beat someone up. They wanted to vent their anger. These bastards even dared to scheme against them and almost fell for it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 465, Died a Horrible Death. 2. Chapter 465, Chapter 129 Died a Horrible Death. 2. Are Jing Yunhui and Su Yu's injuries alright? Jing Yunhui is definitely fine. No matter what, old Ghost Jing is still at the peak of the mountain and sea realm. This time, he has earned a huge sum of money. Old Ghost Jing will be so happy that he will go crazy. After spending some money, he will naturally be fine. As for Su Yu, Jia Mingzhen smiled and said, don't worry about him. This kid has a huge sum of 20,000 merit points. Spending some merit points is enough for him to treat his injuries. The few of them nodded again. Jia Mingzhen quickly said, let's go back. We are still in closed-door cultivation. It is not appropriate for us to show our faces now. The few of them did not say anything more and quickly disappeared from the spot. A moment later, a few more experts arrived. They checked the traces left behind and identified the auras of the few pavilion elders. Very soon, they all dispersed. At the great Xia city lord's residence. The plump Lord Xia Ho was eating a watermelon. He was so engrossed in his food that Xia Sini reported what had happened today. As Lord Xia Ho ate, he mumbled, "You're not my son. You're so stupid and unworthy. One look and it's obvious that it's fake. Why are you still nagging? Father." Lord Xia Ho ignored him and continued eating. As he ate, he said, "Idiot, how much did you lose this time?" "No loss." Xia Ho Yi glared at him and threw the watermelon skin away. Burping, he said, "Idiot. How did you not lose anything? Idiot. Make a bid. You directly asked for 300,000 merit points. Is he, Jin Yunhui, going to sell it?" Xia Sini smiled bitterly and said, 300,000. You said it was fake. Xia Ho Yi rolled his eyes. Are you stupid? It's just a price. Who told you to really spend money to buy it? Provoke the single divine literature department, raise the price, and then ask Jin Yunhui to split it. Everyone who sees it will have a share. Father. Lord Xia Ho waved his hand and was too lazy to say anything else. He said casually, "It's a child's trick. Forget it. If you miss it, don't mention it again. Regardless of whether it's true or not, you won't be able to get it back at all. Do you believe it? Even if it's true, if you get it, it will be quickly swept away by that man with the surname Wan. Not only will you lose your merit points, you won't be able to get the item either." Lord Xia Ho was very familiar with that person. He was afraid that everything would be under his control. The item was real. That item would not leak out of the civilized academy. This was absolute. Let's not talk about this. Let who you interact more with those few brats. Interesting. Looks like this batch of students is quite interesting. Lord Xia Ho stood up and swayed his body as he walked in. As he walked, he said, "Right, the materials that Su Yu used to create the blood essence have all recently been raised in price. Monopolize them and sell them to the single divine literature department. With such money, who else would he be scamming if not them?" As he said this, he was slightly shocked and denied, "No, don't collect them wantonly. Quietly control the situation. All those who buy these things, register them." Lord Xia Ho's eyes lit up and said, "Pay attention and observe. Those who have recently purchased these materials in large quantities are those who have received the news. Even those who have seen it on the spot, other than those fellows from the civilized academy, are most likely people from the Myriad clan cult." He turned to look at Xia Sini and chuckled. Perhaps this is an opportunity to directly attack the yellow dragon. Let's see if we can use this opportunity to sweep away some of the higher-ups in the Myriad clan sect. Those who know about these things will definitely have a high status. Xia Sini's face lit up as well. He hurriedly said, "Father, I know. You really have sharp eyes. Scram. Do I need you to suck up to me?" Lord Xia Ho cursed. He said regretfully, "It's a pity, we won't be able to earn much money like this. It's a pity. Forget it, if we can destroy a Myriad clan cult research lab, we might be able to gain even more." "Don't say. This is a reminder to me." Lord Xia Ho muttered, "Should I leak some important results as well? The core production materials are in our hands. If we fish a little, we might be able to catch a big fish." His eyes grew brighter and brighter. The Xia family's Heaven Origin pill is world famous. Should we leak the formula? If we master the core production materials, we might really be able to catch a big fish. Xia Sini was shocked. "Father, you can't." "Shut up." Master Xia Ho said impatiently, "I'm just saying. It doesn't have to be this. If the Xia family's things were to spread, it might not be a good thing. They might be afraid, but some other things might be quite effective." He seemed to have discovered a huge business opportunity, and his eyes were bright and clear. Xia Sini did not say anything else and left silently. His father was preparing to scam again. This time, he did not know who was unlucky. Suyu did not know or pay attention to what was happening outside. He had exchanged blows with Zheng Yunhui, and his injuries were not light. Many of his bones were broken. That night, he had been healing his injuries and recovering, but it was only his bones. It would probably take some time for them to recover. As for his willpower, it wasn't a big deal, and it quickly returned to normal. The advancement of the blood word also made Suyu interested in the advancement of divine inscriptions. The difference between the effects of a Tier 2 divine inscription and a Tier 1 divine inscription wasn't small. The illusion created by the Tier 1 blood word was easily broken by Zheng Yunhui, but for a Tier 2 divine inscription, if he wasn't careful, this fellow would suffer a huge loss. The difference was huge. Even though the Tier 2 divine script is strong, the willpower it consumes is also huge. If not for my willpower being more durable, I might not have been able to endure it. In this exchange, Suyu had truly seen through his own strength. This was especially so for his willpower. He felt that even though he had just cultivated his character, compared to his endurance and tenacity, Zheng Yunhui was inferior to him. There's also Wen Bing. He's also very strong. Zheng Yunhui won't use it badly. In the end, his Wen Bing was almost cut off by me. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 466, Died a Horrible Death. 3. Chapter 466, Chapter 129 Died a Horrible Death. Suyu calculated in his heart and looked at the 2 merit cards in front of him. He smiled. 20,000 points. A huge sum of money. He was really rich this time. According to his previous calculation, he needed 50 merit points to open an aperture. He had opened 66 apertures now, which was only 42 points away from the critical mass. Of course, the follow-up might be more difficult, but was 3,000 merit points enough? At most, he could enter the secret plane a few more times. He was rich. I'm rich, and it's a lot of money. Suyu was delighted, but at the same time, he was conflicted. Should I give some to teacher? I've already given Uncle Master so much, should I still give it to teacher? Teacher's portion was already included in Uncle Master's portion. Forget it, teacher is still in seclusion, so there's no need for merit points. I'll use it for him first. Suyu nodded his head and convinced himself. According to his thoughts, if he were to split it 50-50, he would have to fork out another 3,000 merit points. However, since teacher is still in seclusion, I'll spend it for him first. As a teacher and disciple, there's no need to split them. Since this teacher doesn't need it, there might still be a teacher who needs it. Suyu thought of someone and hesitated for a moment before making a call. Teacher. Nanyuan, Lu Wenyan heard Suyu's voice and was a little surprised. Suyu, are you in trouble? No, how could I be in trouble? I'm doing very well in the academy. Suyu went out, while grinning, he said, Teacher, I'm in the academy. Teacher Bai and Uncle Master Chen treat me very well. I'm in grave danger. I even used the mountain-breaking ox blood essence to build my foundation. I've also cultivated my character. I also have a half-mystic ranked literary soldier. Lu Wenyan was stunned. He was doing so well. When did the God Literature Department become like this? Didn't Bai Feng say that they were having a hard time? Was that kid lying to him? Really? Really? Suyu said happily, I still have many, many good things. Teacher, I have outlined 4 God literature. Also, I have the will of the mountain sea realms, heaven-breaking kill. I am already at the 5th layer of the 10th layer of the 10th layer. I might be able to reach the 7th layer of the 10th layer of the 10th layer very soon. I have been to the secret realm several times. Lu Wenyan rubbed his temples and was once again in a daze. Am I hearing things? Is this the God language? This brat has only been gone for a month, not even 2 months. He's already at the 5th layer, and his willpower is improving. Literary soldier, will of the text, cultivation technique, secret realm. He wanted to curse, but he knew that Suyu wouldn't lie to him. So, it was by phone who lied to him. F***ck. You're not a man. Lu Wenyan cursed in his heart. Do you think that I'm not in the academy anymore and that I'm easy to fool? Suyu is doing so well, doesn't that mean that you, by phone, are doing even better? You actually want to cry poor with me. You even said that you can't even eat anymore. To think that I even asked someone to help you. Bastard, sooner or later, I'll hammer you to death. He sighed in his heart for a while, then said with some joy, you've improved very quickly. Very good. Of course, don't be arrogant. If you have nothing to do, just think about that person from the Great Zhou Manor who rose to the sky in half a year. Give yourself some pressure. Don't be arrogant. Suyu said happily, I won't, teacher. I know what I'm capable of. Not to mention those freaks, even our batch of new students have many experts. Yesterday, I fought with a new student. I lost. I lost to him. There are others in the class who are stronger than him. I'm not even the strongest in our class. There are others who are stronger than you. Lu Wenyan was once again surprised. There were 4 divine runes, willpower, and character nurturing. There was heaven-shattering killing, a text of will, and a top-notch scribe. To be honest, Suyu was not weaker than he was when he was younger. Just like that, there was still someone stronger than him among the freshmen. He had just lost yesterday, and there was still someone stronger in the class. What class was this? The senior advanced class. N. Suyu smiled and said, but teacher, I believe that I can catch up to them very soon. As he said that, he thought of something serious. He said, teacher, didn't you want to build your foundation with your body when you were in the air? Last time, your body was still 10,000 stones, and I'm living very well now. I still have a lot of good things in my hands. Teacher, do you want the blood essence of God and devil? Lu Wenyan was stunned for a moment. Did this kid really make a fortune? The blood essence of God and devil was at least a drop of 1,000 merit points for someone in the sky realm. There was such a thing. Teacher. Lu Wenyan was jolted awake. While he was shocked, he felt complicated and emotional. After a long while, he smiled and said, no need, keep it for yourself. Teacher, I'm already so old, I don't need this. As he spoke, he sighed and said, you are very good. Suyu, work hard in your cultivation. Master the battle techniques of divine inscriptions and become an expert. Lu Wenyan rambled on for a few more sentences before rejecting Suyu's suggestion once again. He hung up the call. After a long while, Lu Wenyan chuckled and shook his head. He sighed softly. You have a character that values friendship and loyalty. Closing his eyes, he was thinking of something. In his sea of will, light dots flickered and divine inscriptions appeared one after another. At this moment, these divine runes were so numerous that they were terrifying. They all circled around a speck of light. These divine runes were attracted by the speck of light in the middle, condensed, and fixed. Is there really a day when it will take shape? Muttering to himself, Lu Wenyan sighed once more. It had been 50 years. For the past 50 years, he had been mending, sketching, and nurturing. If he didn't bloom, he might not be able to wait until that day. Suyu. He sighed softly. At this moment, he suddenly hesitated. He was doing very well and improving very quickly. He had originally thought that the divine script was his chance, but now, it might be an obstacle for him. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 467, Died a Horrible Death, 4. Chapter 467, Chapter 129 Died a Horrible Death, 4. If he couldn't succeed even if I gave it to him, then he would be the same as me, turning from a genius to a mediocre talent. If his aptitude is average and he's not doing well, then his temperament isn't bad. I've nurtured him for many years. Passing him on might not harm him. But now. Lu Wenyan sighed again. It was better not to repeat his tragedy on Su Yu. Unless, he was certain that it would really take shape in a short period of time. Thinking of this, he suppressed some thoughts and dialed a number again. After waiting for a while, the call was picked up. Are you going to beg me again? Lu Wenyan blew his beard and glared. After a long while, he scolded, Who begged you? I didn't beg you last time. Last time, I already said that it was that bastard Bai Feng who begged you. I asked you not to help, but you insisted on helping. Are you crazy? Why didn't you beat him to death? If you didn't beat him to death, I would have looked down on you. With a bang, he hung up the communication device and smashed it to the side. He was cursing and swearing. That bastard Bai Feng actually dared to lie to me. Su Yu was living such a good life. As a teacher, you must be living a better life than him. You actually dared to lie to me. Bastard. He insisted on teaching you a good lesson. At this moment, in the Heart Cultivation Pavilion, Wu Yuehua angrily put down the call. Very good. Lu Wenyan scolded her. Bastard. Do you think I can tolerate your bad temper every time? You are deliberately provoking me, right? You want me to help Bai Feng? Of course not. Didn't you ask me to beat him to death? I will grant you your wish. She was furious. Lu Wenyan was too much. How dare he say such things to her? He's going too far. Don't I care about my reputation? He's always scolding me. Her willpower rippled in all directions. The others were shocked, but she didn't care. In the next moment, she disappeared from the Heart Cultivation Pavilion. Under the attention of some pavilion elders, Bai Feng, who had just left the mystic realm, had a delighted expression on his face. Just as he was about to take a step forward, with a bang, his vision turned black and he fainted. The nearby cultivators who were about to enter the secret realm were stunned. What had happened? None of them could see what had happened. The next moment, someone exclaimed in shock, That's Bai Feng, this. His body is too weak, and he fainted. Some people were speechless. How could this be? He was at the 7th level of the soaring heaven realm, after all. How could he faint so easily? He must have gone mad. Hurry up and call the experts over. We don't want to touch him, lest he self-destructs. Sigh, isn't the pressure too great? Bai Feng is also miserable. Elder Hong isn't around, and the pressure is too great. He actually fainted after finishing his cultivation. This. Sigh. He was filled with sympathy and regret. A 7th level of the soaring heaven tier actually fainted for no reason. It was unknown whether something had happened. How pitiful. Thus, not too long later, the news of Bai Feng fainting spread. Bai Feng fainted after cultivating. I heard that he went berserk. The pressure on Bai Feng was too great. Unable to withstand the blow, he self-destructed. Bai Feng is dead. Heavens, Assistant Bai's cultivation self-destructed. At this moment, Su Yu was just about to discuss a big deal with Xia Huyo when he heard the news. His expression changed, and he hurriedly rushed toward the secret realm. His teacher was dead. How was that possible? He self-destructed while cultivating. While he was running, he heard someone discussing in the vicinity, I heard that he didn't die of natural causes. He was killed by an expert from the Single Divine One faction. Sigh, it's a pity. When he defeated Hu Wenxing last time, he knew that such a day would come. How pitiful. Su Yu's eyes turned red. This was going too far. The divine inscriptions alone had actually killed his teacher. This enmity was irreconcilable. At this moment, Su Yu's willpower boiled. The divine inscriptions with the word kill boiled and shook. His kill intent had reached a peak. At this moment, Su Yu did not feel agitated, angry, and indignant. He deserved to be killed. He deserved to die. They had actually killed his teacher in the academy. From afar, Su Yu saw a group of people surrounding a certain spot. He roared furiously, "Get out of the way!" Kill intent seethed. Rumbling sounds rang out. Within the sea of will, the kill character expanded, seething, and trembling. With a rumbling sound, Su Yu's vision blurred. At this moment, his eyes were only blood red. Even though his teacher wasn't very reliable, a teacher for a day was a father for life. Su Yu had heard this before. He wanted revenge. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Who was this? What was going on? His strength wasn't strong, but his killing intent shook the heavens. In the next moment, a blood-red light flashed in front of many people's eyes. Someone suddenly exclaimed, "Tier 2 Divine Prose." Divine Prose related to killing intent. What was going on? This student had suddenly broken through to a Tier 2 Divine inscription. Why were there so many strange things happening in the academy today? At the same time, Bai Feng rubbed his head and sat up. At first, he was surprised that there were so many people nearby. Then, he remembered that he had been ambushed and had actually been knocked unconscious. Just as he was about to curse angrily, in the next moment, he was dumbfounded. What was going on? Why was Su Yu's killing intent boiling? It seemed like the kill word had broken through to Tier 2. Didn't he say that there was hope for his blood word to break through? Could it be that he felt wrong about the blood word? Bai Feng was confused. At this moment, he couldn't care less about who ambushed him. He was fine anyway. Perhaps some old bastard was unhappy with him, so he gave him a punch. It wasn't too serious, so there was no point in finding fault with him. At this moment, he was more concerned about Su Yu's changes. With a confused expression, he hurriedly jumped up, grabbed Su Yu, and ran to the research institute. What the hell? Why was this kid by his side, and even had a breakthrough in divine runes? What the hell? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 468, The Forgetful Su Yu 1. Chapter 468, Chapter 130, The Forgetful Su Yu 1. His killing intent was boiling, and the chill was piercing to the bone. Teacher. Su Yu let out a low growl, and his vision gradually returned to normal. Then, he felt that something was wrong. He felt as if he was flying. His heart skipped a beat, and he felt that he was being lifted by someone. Su Yu hurriedly turned his head to look. It would have been fine if he hadn't looked, but when he looked, he was almost stunned. Teacher, you're still alive. Bai Feng was speechless. What kind of words were those? Were you hoping that your teacher would die as soon as possible? It wasn't always possible to fly, especially when carrying someone. Seeing that Su Yu had regained consciousness, Bai Feng found an empty spot to land and casually threw Su Yu down. What happened to you just now? Bai Feng was also puzzled. Why did this kid suddenly break through to rank 2 divine one today? Teacher, they said just now that you were killed by a single divine prose faction member. Su Yu said, somewhat embarrassed. Bai Feng was stunned for a moment, and then said speechlessly, no matter how bold they are, they wouldn't dare to make a move against me in the academy. What's wrong with your brain? Su Yu remained silent. He had been in a moment of anger, and in addition, he also felt guilty. The reason he didn't suspect anything the moment he heard the news was because, he had just swindled the other party of a huge amount of wealth. 80,000 merit points. The single Divine One faction had lost 80,000 merit points out of humiliation and anger. Killing by Feng. In Su Yu's opinion, it might not be impossible. Therefore, he was angry, flustered, and guilty. Bai Feng glanced at him and was speechless. As he walked, he said, "Let's go back and talk. Did the plan succeed? Is that why you think they will take revenge on me?" As he said this, Bai Feng could not help but laugh. "What are you thinking about? For that little bit of merit points, even if they knew, they would not make a move at the academy." He still didn't know just how much Su Yu had scammed. His original goal was to scam Lu Hong, so he wasn't prepared to offer a high price. On one hand, he felt that his disciple was a little silly, but on the other hand, he was somewhat gratified. He felt that he had died and the divine text had been stimulated, which was why he had broken through. "Did you just break through with the word kill?" Bai Feng asked curiously. "Why wasn't it the blood word?" N. At this moment, Su Yu also felt a little flustered. The two divine texts had actually become tier 2, especially the kill divine text. It was too fast. His willpower had to be raised as soon as possible. Otherwise, no matter how many divine texts there were, they wouldn't be of much use. Bai Feng nodded. Seeing that Su Yu was somewhat lost in thought, he smiled and said, "It's a pleasant surprise. Sometimes, the stimulation of the divine inscriptions will lead to a breakthrough in the divine inscriptions. Willpower, divine inscriptions, and willpower are all interrelated." He explained to Su Yu and said, "However, this kind of situation of yours is also very rare. It can be considered as a form of self-deception to complete the tempering of willpower. I'm afraid this is the only time." Su Yu nodded and couldn't help but ask, "Teacher, what happened to you just now? They were all saying that you died." Bai Feng's face darkened. He cursed in his heart. "You guys are the ones who died. Nonsense. When I came out of seclusion just now, I felt that I had some gains, so I just cultivated on the spot. These fellows only know how to talk nonsense." Bai Feng was speechless. He didn't tell his disciple about the embarrassing incident. As for who attacked him, he actually had some guesses in his heart. Even after teaching him a lesson, he wasn't injured at all. He shouldn't be an enemy or a foe, but he shouldn't be considered one of his own either. Thinking about it this way, could it be that those pavilion elders who were related to him had offended them? So they were going to make him suffer a little. His target instantly narrowed. Very quickly, he thought of the people who might have done this in the academy, and gradually, he locked onto his target. Wu Yuehua. Bai Feng was somewhat certain in his heart, and he cursed inwardly. "This old woman is really boring. I didn't provoke you." Previously, Senior Uncle had said that he wanted people to cause trouble for him. Could it be that Senior Uncle had asked her to do it? Bai Feng was also in a difficult position. He was definitely going to suffer this loss. Unless he took revenge on Wuxia, the key point was, he might not be able to beat her. Cultivate? Su Yu had a faint suspicion. Cultivate? You're lying on the ground. Previously, he seemed to have seen Bai Feng lying on the ground. Bai Feng said indifferently, "Of course I'm cultivating. I've gained quite a lot this time. I've broken through to the 8th level of the soaring heavens realm. You, on the other hand, don't listen to the wind and rain next time. There are too many people who have nothing to do in the academy. They like to gossip when they have nothing to do. Rumors stop at wise men. As a civilized master, you should have your own judgment. Don't blindly listen to rumors." Su Yu nodded, feeling a little embarrassed. He said embarrassedly, "Teacher, I was also anxious. With what happened earlier, I thought that they..." As he said that, he said angrily, "It's all because they went too far. They hurt senior sister previously. I thought that they would come again. Bai Feng laughed and did not say anything more. His mood was still pretty good. This disciple of his knew that it was a good thing to care about his teacher. At this moment, the two of them were almost at the research center. Only then did Bai Feng remember what happened before he went into seclusion. He asked, "Did the plan succeed this time?" After saying that, he added, "I see that you still have injuries on your body. A few of your bones are broken. How was your fight with Xing Yunhui?" "I lost," Su Yu answered. Bai Feng was not surprised. It was only normal for him to not be as good as Xing Yunhui. He did not know that Su Yu had almost won. He also did not know that Xing Yunhui had broken through to the 8th layer of Qianjun and even opened his acupoints at the last minute. He was close to the 9th layer and his injuries were worse than Su Yu's. Did Lu Hong take the bait? No. Su Yu was dejected. He did not take the bait and even tricked us once. As they spoke, the two of them entered the research center. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 469, The Forgetful Su Yu 2. Chapter 469, Chapter 130, The Forgetful Su Yu 2. Su Yu briefly recounted what had happened before, and Bai Feng's eyelids trembled as he listened. 80,000. You bunch of bastards, you really dare to open your mouth. 80,000 merit points. So. You only took 5,000 merit points, and Lu Hong took 40,000. Bai Feng couldn't wait any longer, and was prepared to go find trouble with Lu Hong. Damn it, you tricked my disciple. You tricked too many people. I took half of it. Su Yu smiled foolishly and said, "No. Later, I went to look for Teacher Lu and he gave me some merit points." Oh. Bai Feng was stunned. How much did he give? Su Yu looked at him carefully and said in a low voice, 15,000. Bai Feng was stunned again. Was Lu Hong a fool? 15,000. Do you think I'll believe it? Well, he had to believe it. At this moment, he was really in a daze. Lu Hong, this bastard, would he spit out what he had eaten? Su Yu briefly told him what happened after that. In the end, he was a little hesitant, but he still said softly, "Teacher, between us and Lu Hong, is there any deal?" What? On one hand, he was distracted by his disciples' methods, and on the other hand, he was shocked that these guys were really cunning. At this moment, when he suddenly heard these words, Bai Feng was shocked. What do you know? Su Yu thought for a moment and said hesitantly, Lu Hong said that he might not be our enemy. As for the matter of the undercover. This Su Yu still maintained a certain level of suspicion. But according to Lu Hong's words, Bai Feng wasn't clear about this matter, and only Grandmaster Hong knew about it. Bai Feng raised his eyebrows and said after a long while, "That fellow can speak eloquently, don't take it seriously. No matter what he says, just treat it as if nothing has happened. The best way to deal with Lu Hong is to be direct." Direct? Su Yu did not understand. Bai Feng laughed lightly and said, "Simple, direct. Don't listen to anything, don't care. Just one sentence, if you provoke me, I will beat you. If you don't provoke me, I will also beat you, unless you give me money. It's that simple." Su Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was really so straightforward. Bai Feng didn't care what Lu Hong said. No matter what Lu Hong said, he wouldn't take it seriously. This was also his way of life. Since I think you're sinister, then I won't believe a single word of your words. If it's good for me, then I'll listen. If it's not good for me, then I'll pretend I didn't hear it. This was also the reason why Lu Hong had been inferior to him all these years. He lost more than he won. There was no other reason. Some of his methods and words were useless to Bai Feng unless they were really beneficial to Bai Feng. It was that simple. Bai Feng did not expect that so many things would happen in just a few days of his closed-door cultivation. He felt a little regretful. He had known earlier that he would not go into closed-door cultivation. Thinking about how Suyu had earned so much this time, Bai Feng was a little happy. He said, "Little Ayu, you know that teacher prepared a gift for me especially after I broke through, right? You said that you would give me half of the merit points." Cough cough. Suyu said awkwardly, "Well, teacher, I gave your share to Uncle Master. Uncle Master said to keep it for you." Bai Feng looked at him with a dazed expression. What did he mean? "Well, teacher, logically speaking, you should be able to get 17,000 merit points for half of it, so I should give you another 3,000 merit points." Bai Feng looked at him gloomily. "I thought I was going to be rich this time. Only 3,000 points left." Fortunately, it was better than nothing. It was a little more than what he had expected. Not bad. No matter what, it was still a profit. Just as he thought of this, Suyu said dryly, "In the end, senior uncle specially called me this morning and said that there was no need to give you any more merit points. He told me to save them for my own use. He also said that teacher, you don't need merit points now." Bai Feng said in surprise, "Who said that?" "Martial Uncle Chen said that." Cough cough cough. Bai Feng almost choked to death. What nonsense. I really lack merit points, all right. But when he thought of fighting with his disciple over this, he felt a little embarrassed. Bai Feng forced a smile, but in his heart, he cursed. Why did it feel like today wasn't going well? He had just broken through and was still in a good mood, but in the end, he wasn't in a good mood at all. 20,000 merit points. This kid has so many merit points, he won't be able to use them all. Forget it, I'll keep them with him for the time being. We'll talk about it when there's really no money left. Bai Feng wasn't too anxious. There were so many merit points, and he wouldn't be able to use them all. He would talk about it later when he really needed them. He didn't talk about the merit points anymore, lest he appeared to be too narrow-minded as a teacher. Bai Feng warned, "Be careful with your use. Don't let those fellows from the Divine Language Department discover any clues. Now that Lu Hong is covering for us, it's also a good thing. If we find out later, we'll have more time to develop." Bai Feng smiled and said, "When I reach the 9th level of the Soaring Heaven tier and you reach the peak of recuperation, there's no need to be afraid of them. As long as there are no opponents of the same tier, they won't be able to do anything to us. At the very least, the academy still has other pavilion elders and the head of the academy. Do they really dare to overturn the heavens?" Suyu nodded. Bai Feng said seriously again, "Suyu, a breakthrough in the divine runes might not necessarily be a good thing. You need to outline a lot of divine runes. Originally, the 18 divine runes were already somewhat overwhelmed. Now that a tier 2 divine rune has appeared, it will be even more difficult for you to nurture the divine runes. Your sea of consciousness will not be able to bear it. Try not to nurture this tier 2 divine rune anymore. Its lethality is a little stronger, but your willpower is not strong, and there is a limit to how strong you are. You are still inferior to a true tier 2 divine rune. The gains don't outweigh the losses. Do you understand what I mean? Forget about the accidental breakthrough, don't blindly pursue the breakthrough of a tier 2 divine inscription." Suyu nodded. He understood this. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 470, The Forgetful Suyu Monthly Pass, Subscription 3. Chapter 470, Chapter 130 The Forgetful Suyu Monthly Pass, Subscription. Bai Feng had said so much, and he was going to find Lu Hong to have a chat later, so he didn't say anything more. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly said, "That those guys in the underground detention area have been fed, right?" "Yes." Suyu hurriedly opened his mouth, and then he was slightly shocked. They were fed once. However, it seemed like they were fed on the 9th. What was the date today? Teacher, today is the 21st. You're asking me? Bai Feng was speechless. I went into seclusion, all right. Even though he thought about it, he still nodded and said, it should be. Su Yu didn't say anything. It shouldn't be a big deal. Last time, they weren't fed for 10 days, and they didn't die. It was only 12 days this time, forget it, I'll go feed them later. It should be fine. He felt that Bai Feng might have often forgotten to feed them. Those guys had a low sense of presence, and they did not give him any benefits. Su Yu had been busy with the competition these past few days. He was busy scheming against people, so he did not have the time to pay attention to them. Bai Feng seemed to have noticed something. He coughed lightly and said, that. Don't kill them. This is too much. Your grandmaster is back. We will all be in trouble. Really, don't go too far. Why do I feel like you're really going to starve them to death? Su Yu was embarrassed and did not say a word. I just forgot. I've been too busy recently. Too many things have happened. That, teacher, I'll go feed them later. After saying that, his communicator rang. Su Yu picked it up and looked at it. He quickly looked at Bai Feng and said, Teacher, I still have some things to do here. If you're not busy, I'll go back to work first. Go. Bai Feng waved his hand, and Su Yu ran away in a flash. Xia Huyo was anxious and was still waiting for him. Over at the detention area, he could just come back at night to feed them. Before he left, Su Yu reminded himself not to forget at night. Otherwise, it would be hard to explain if he really starved those guys to death. Come back at night to feed them. With this thought in mind, Su Yu ran away in a hurry. The detention area. At this moment, even the shadow could not stand it anymore. He said faintly, we seem to have met a particularly unreliable and irresponsible fellow. If this goes on, we will really die. Next time. The Golden Lion said weakly, the next time he comes, I will give him some benefits. Don't ask him to let me go. Just give me some food. I'm about to die. What else was there to ask for? Let us go, then forget it. I beg you, come and feed us on time, I beg you. The others did not speak at all. Save your strength. They did not know when that person would come. Did he not need to expend any energy to speak? He was really about to starve to death. In the teaching area, Su Yu rushed over again. Xia Huyo said speechlessly, your teacher is fine. Why did you run so fast? I already said, don't listen to the wind and rain here at the academy. Cough cough. Su Yu coughed lightly, and Xia Huyo asked curiously, just now, they said that a student had a breakthrough in the divine text. Was it you? No. Su Yu shook his head and said, it was the divine text from last time. Didn't you know about it? Oh. Xia Huyo nodded. He indeed knew about this. It was the divine text that created the illusion. It seemed that those people had misunderstood, and he didn't pay too much attention to it. A rank 2 divine text was very strong, but for things like illusions, he just needed to be more cautious. Su Yu's divine text didn't seem to have too much lethality. Su Yu didn't waste any more words, and quickly said, according to what I said earlier, 500 drops of mountain ox's 10,000 stone blood essence. In addition, the blood essence of other races, 1,000 June and 10,000 stone realm, as long as you can buy it, give me a drop. Xia Huyo said speechlessly, you left so quickly just now, I didn't even have the time to say it. Su Yu, do you know how many races there are? Not to mention other things, just the race blood essence sold by the Xia family's trading company alone has 879 kinds. 1,000 Junes is still a little cheaper. At least one merit point, and the expensive one is just like mountain breaking ox, 10 points per drop. But 10,000 stones, some are even more expensive than mountain breaking ox. Xia Huyo calculated for a moment and said, if you want to buy all of them, it's at least 10,000 merit points. Are you sure you want to buy them? 10,000 merit points. Su Yu opened his mouth, and it was only close to 1,000 kinds. He still wanted to buy 10,000 stone level, so it was naturally not cheap. 10,000, forget it, Su Yu could not bear to buy so many. Feeling a little helpless, Su Yu said, then I don't want 10,000 stone level. Give me a drop of Qianjuan level, how much will it cost? It's not expensive. Xia Huyo said, the blood essence outside the top 100 races are not expensive. Even if the top 100 races are expensive, a drop of 10 merit points would be the highest. Of course, the top 10 gods and demons are not included. In fact, you can't buy them. Let me calculate. If I really buy them all, it would be around 2,000 merit points. Su Yu was still a little reluctant. It was too expensive. However, he hoped that he could open more albums and open more cultivation techniques. After thinking for a moment, Su Yu gritted his teeth and nodded. Then I'll buy them. Xia Huyo revealed a smile. Very good, this would be 7,000 merit points. This kid, Su Yu, had earned quite a lot this time. Do you want anything else? Xia Huyo recommended, your bones have been broken. Although your bones have been straightened now, it won't be easy to recover. I'll recommend you a few medicinal pills and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. After taking them, you'll be able to recover completely in no time. How much? Cheap. Around 100 merit points. You can recover completely in 3 days without any sequelae. Su Yu gritted his teeth. Cheap my ass. 100 merit points was not a small amount. Su Yu exhaled and could not be bothered with him. He continued, right, I need more of the human's will. What's the price outside now? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 471, The Forgetful Su Yu 4. Chapter 471, Chapter 130 The Forgetful Su Yu 4. Qianjun Realm, 100 to 300 points, Wuxia Realm, 300 to 500 points. Above 500 points, Shanghai Realm's lowest is over 1,000 points. Xia Huyo explained, look at what you wrote. For example, the previous heaven-breaking kill only wrote Qianjun and Wuxia Realm moves, but because it was written by Shanghai Realm, it's worth around 1,500 points. This thing not only looked at the realm of the person who wrote it, but also what was written. Su Yu nodded slightly and thought for a while, I don't care about this. I don't care about the content. The cheapest type of will text is also fine. Get me a few dozen copies, how many do you need? A few dozen copies? This was a big deal. Xia Huyo said in surprise, why do you need so many will texts? To outline the God text. Su Yu, actually, I still advise you to go to a public class. It's much cheaper this way. If you buy it, it's too expensive. The cheapest words of will would cost at least 100 merit points. It was too expensive. Su Yu took a deep breath. He had no choice. He needed to outline a lot of divine text. Without the words of will, it simply wouldn't work. The 10,000 races couldn't do it. They had to have the human races. The human race didn't have a long storage time. Even the library didn't have many books of the human race's words of will. They were usually written on the spot. However, Su Yu didn't have the time to go to classes every day. Moreover, people would notice when he was outlining the divine text. The font was dim. It was fine if he did it once or twice, but if he succeeded every time, then he would be finished. The entire academy knew that he, Su Yu, had been able to sketch out a divine text every time he went to see it. How could this be explained? Where did all the divine text go? Therefore, Suyu could only buy and read it himself. He also wanted to go to public classes, but his strength really did not allow it. Don't talk nonsense. Buy 30 books first. Suyu thought for a moment and said, I want the cheapest one, the one with 100 merit points per book. Buy me 30 books. Just don't repeat it. Is 3,000 merit points enough? This is fine. Xia Huyo nodded and smiled so much that he could not close his mouth. This kind of the most trashy essay of will was often written by some people who were trying to write it in the sky. They could not sell it. If someone bought it, they would earn it. In total, Suyu's one transaction cost him over 10,000 merit points. It was a big deal. This guy was really willing to spend money. Suyu sighed. 20,000 merit points felt like a lot. But, when he really spent it, it felt ordinary. He didn't buy much. It was only 500 drops of mountain-breaking bull's blood essence. Along with some trashy words of will, he spent over 10,000 merit points. Oh right, give me some of that healing stuff as well, you pay for it as a gift. Xia Huyo looked troubled. After a while, he said with a sad face, Brother, I only earned 100 merit points. If you do this, I won't be able to earn anything. Suyu stared at him. Xia Huyo was still crying miserably. After a while, he seemed to have lost 100 million. He gritted his teeth and said, Okay, I'll give it to you. Suyu rolled his eyes. Who would believe that you only earned so little? 10,000 merit points. Suyu let out a breath. He felt that even 20,000 merit points were not enough. Especially the article of will. It was too expensive. The key was that after it was spent, the money would really be gone. The article of will of the human race would disappear after a long time. Also, if he really drew the divine text, the article of will could not be sold. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome. If you drew the divine text, the font would be dim. People would be able to tell at a glance which word had been drawn. Reselling it would not do. It would expose some of his secrets. 20,000 points. Suyu felt bitter in his heart. He thought that it was a lot, but when he really did trade, he realized that it was not worth mentioning. Suyu did not plan to spend the remaining 10,000 points in one go. He did not know what to do next. 500 drops of mountain ox essence blood might not be enough. On this side, Suyu and Xia Huyo finished the deal. Just as he was about to go back, he seemed to see an acquaintance on the way. From a distance, Suyu recognized the person. Just as he was about to open his mouth, the person also saw Suyu and suddenly turned around to run. The greeting that Suyu was about to say was forcefully suppressed. What's wrong? I haven't provoked you recently either. In the distance, Wu Lan ran at lightning speed. She was sullen, indignant, unwilling, desperate, in pain, struggling, and her pride had been completely destroyed. Why did I just enter the second layer of Qianjun? Suyu definitely knows. He was deliberately making a fool of me. He laughed, so arrogantly. Wu Lan was overwhelmed with grief and indignation. She had broken through to Qianjun, and she had even run to the mystic realm to break through. She was fully confident that she would be able to break through Qianjun's third level. In the end, she barely managed to open 12 acupoints, reaching Qianjun's second level. The moment she came out of seclusion, she had the urge to die. Why? At that moment, she met Suyu, and she was certain that Suyu had come specifically to make a fool of her. How could she not run? She was so embarrassed that she had no face to see anyone. Suyu did not understand why Wu Lan wanted to run, so he did not mind. It was just a little strange. I haven't offended her recently, right? Forget it, I don't care. However, what was I thinking just now? What was I planning to do when I went back? He had completely forgotten about it after Wu Lan made such a fuss. Su Yu scratched his head. He clearly remembered that he had to do something. His memory was not bad, but why was he always forgetful recently? The divine runes are too strong. My willpower is not strong enough. Has it suppressed my thoughts? Su Yu muttered. Perhaps. It should not be anything important. Forget it then. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 472, Heaven Rank Martial Technique 1. Chapter 472, Chapter 131 Heaven Rank Martial Technique 1. When he returned to the research center, Bai Feng had disappeared. It was unknown whether he had gone to the third underground level or gone out. Su Yu continued to cultivate on his own. Although he had money now and could go to the mystic realm, he had to cultivate on a daily basis. In addition, he had to read more books. He had been busy fighting with Sheng Yunhui for the past few days. He had taken a few days off and missed quite a few courses. The current Su Yu was already somewhat used to being attacked by willpower while reading books. Of course, he was reading ordinary books. Reading the text of willpower at this time could easily impact his sea of consciousness and cause a disturbance. Reading. Su Yu smiled. The Shadow Clan lives in the Shadow World, without a trace. The Shadow Clan. Su Yu laughed. Was this a reminder to him? That's right, those fellows had been hungry for so many days, they should be obedient now. After cultivating for a while, Su Yu's willpower had been greatly exhausted, and his entire body was covered in sweat. He did not tidy up, and his face seemed to be a little pale. He muttered, I should change into that set of clothes from last time and get some blood. Forget it, it's too obvious. After muttering a few words to himself, Su Yu smiled, stood up, and walked out. I'm so hungry. I'm dying. The Swan-Knee's muttering continued, and very soon, its big ears moved slightly. Its eyes instantly lit up. It was here. At this moment, the other cages also made some noise. A moment later, Su Yu entered the door. His face was pale, and he was limping as he walked. His face was full of impatience. When he saw the Swan-Ni looking at him with eager eyes, he said impatiently, What are you looking at? Are you a hungry ghost reincarnated? When the few demons saw his appearance, they were, after all, experts who were flying in the sky. They could see his injuries. He was injured. The great enemy he mentioned last time had fought with him. No wonder he did not come for so many days. It turned out that he had gone to deal with the enemy. The shadow said faintly, Su Yu, if you don't come now, we will all starve to death. Be careful that Hong Tan will come back to settle the score with you. Su Yu said impatiently, so what if you die? Accidents are everywhere. Are you threatening me? You don't have any Yuan Qi liquid this time. Anyway, you are strong. Bear with it. You won't starve to death in half a year. Su Yu had a displeased expression. On the other side, the white raccoon said gently, Little brother suffered a loss. Who bullied you? Do you want me to help you vent your anger? Su Yu sneered, a prisoner of the underworld. Don't play this game with me. I don't feel good. That fellow feels even worse than me. He's just relying on his large family background and abundant resources. Otherwise, is he worthy to be on par with me? When the few of them heard this, they instantly understood his thoughts. This was a complaint of injustice. Swan-Knee's large eyes rolled for a moment, and he no longer hid it. He hurriedly said, Su Yu, he came from a large family clan. He has resources, martial techniques, and secret techniques that you cannot compare to. Even if your talent is good, it's impossible for you to catch up to them. With that said, he complained, every time you suffer outside, you forget to feed us. If this goes on, we will starve to death. The one who loses is you. Su Yu, give me a few more drops of Yuan Qi liquid this time. I'll give you a treasure. Su Yu glanced at it and sneered. He couldn't be bothered with it. Swan and I saw the situation and became anxious. He hurriedly said, "It's really a treasure. A heaven-rank martial skill. You can exchange it for a few drops of Yuan Qi liquid." Su Yu's heart trembled slightly, but his face still had a contemptuous smile. "You have tricked me. Are you planning to plot against me? Cultivate until you self-destruct?" "No." Swan and I was also anxious. "This is a martial technique I obtained in the Starry Palace, from your human race. It's used by that genius from the war god hall of your human race." Su Yu sized it up and smiled. "Where is it? Don't tell me you'll recite it for me, do you think I'll believe you?" Swan and I hurriedly said, "There's no need to recite it, the thing is with you. When I was captured, the thing was confiscated, and that thing is among it." Su Yu said unhappily, "Nonsense, that thing is also in the hands of my grandmaster. What does it have to do with me?" Swan and I hurriedly said, "Your grandmaster didn't care. In addition, the war god Hall's heaven-rank martial technique is a secret technique. It's hard for outsiders to see anything, so he threw it aside as a waste." Su Yu was speechless. Then, was this thing still there? He was joking with me. Swan and I saw the situation and said, "But that secret manual was woven with excellent dragon silk, so it's not completely a waste. I remember that Hong Tan planned to use this as a material to write the essay of will." Su Yu blinked. Swan and I said again, "Really, it's definitely still there. The essay of will he wrote now should be useless, but the original heaven-rank martial technique must still be there. After all, even if it's useless, it wouldn't be thrown away randomly. Moreover, it's woven from dragon silk. Paper of will." Su Yu frowned. "It's still in the research center." "Then I'm not sure, it should still be there. I remember that Hong Tan liked it very much, and he would often take it out to take a look." As soon as it finished speaking, the shadow continued, "You're talking about that mountain and sea secret-seeking post?" Su Yu blinked again. Why did it sound so familiar? The next moment, he remembered. The divine writing competition. The first prize was this. Mountain and sea seeking invitation. Su Yu almost forgot about this. At this moment, he couldn't help but change his expression. There was a heaven-rank martial skill in that thing. How is that possible? My grandmaster is at the peak of the 8th level of the mountain and sea realm. How could he not see that there's something else in it? Su Yu didn't believe it. Swan and I hurriedly said, "It's true. That should be the private collection of an invincible king." The other party placed a seal on it. If I hadn't unsealed it by accident after I obtained it back then, I wouldn't have known that it was a secret martial technique. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 473, Heaven Rank Martial Technique 2. Chapter 473, Chapter 131, Heaven Rank Martial Technique 2. You solved it before? Swan and I said embarrassedly, "I can't cultivate it. The difference between our martial techniques is too big." "How do I solve it?" "It's very simple. I just need to devour some dragon silkworm essence blood." Swan and I explained, "I didn't know at the beginning either. It wasn't until I killed a dragon silkworm that I used that thing to wrap the corpse of the dragon silkworm and prepared to bring it back. In the end, I discovered this accident." Su Yu's eyes sparkled. Heaven rank martial technique. He didn't have any heaven rank martial technique. At the current stage, his strongest martial technique was Heaven Splitter. This thing was a martial technique that came with an earth rank cultivation technique. However, Heaven Splitter was only an Earth-rank martial technique, and it wasn't considered a top-tier one, it could only be considered an Earth-rank high-tier martial technique. The first 6 moves, 96 openings. Heaven rank martial technique, what rank is it? Heaven rank intermediate level. Swan Ni immediately said, according to what you humans say, if you cultivate to the 1000 June 9th layer, you will be able to burst out the strength of 132 openings, and even reach the high level of heaven rank. Martial technique. What type is it? Leg technique. Swan Ni said again, the main thing is to open the openings in the legs. The lethality is extremely strong, and the speed will also increase. It's an excellent martial technique that can kill enemies and escape. If it weren't for the fact that I can't cultivate this, I'm afraid that even ordinary mountains and seas might not be able to catch up to me. Su Yu's eyes flickered as he said, since that's the case, you can kill a human genius who cultivated such a technique? He shouldn't have learned it completely. Swan Ni explained again, otherwise, he wouldn't have had to carry it around with him. Moreover, that thing is quite special. The human's text of will usually doesn't last long, but that one has always been filled with the power of will. This might be the text of will written by an invincible expert. Su Yu's eyes were bright. You mean that it's not just a cultivation technique, but the text of will? Of course. Swan Ni heaved a sigh of relief. As long as he was interested, it was good. Cultivation techniques, who would always carry it around with them? We are all experts, so it's inevitable that we would have a photographic memory. Only the text of will is worth carrying around with us. A mid-tier heaven rank martial technique, and it was also a text of will. It might even be written by an invincible expert. Su Yu took a deep breath and said again, you said that it was brought by someone from the War God Hall, and that an invincible expert from the War God Hall could write an essay of will. He seemed to have realized something. Swan Ni said indifferently, what's so strange about that? An expert from the War God Hall could have originally cultivated the path of the warrior, but when he reached the invincible realm, there was no way out. It's normal for him to cultivate the divine inscription. There was nothing strange about this. Su Yu nodded slightly. So that was the case. Mountain and sea invitation to the afterlife. Su Yu muttered, and then said with an unfriendly look, that thing has long been lost. You bastard, why didn't you say it earlier? You only said it now. Swan Ni felt wronged. Damn it, we are enemies, why did I tell you guys? Besides, if I had said it earlier, it wouldn't have been your turn. Lost, Swan Ni said in disbelief, Hong Tan likes this calligraphy very much, how could it be lost? Su Yu was also depressed, how would he know? In any case, it was really lost. Of course, it was now in the hands of the Academy, or rather, Lu Hong's hands. He didn't know. Anyway, the last time they said they would use it as a reward. Oh right, when was the Divine Inscriptions competition again? Su Yu had really forgotten about it. He did not pay too much attention to this competition. Previously, he had forgotten to ask about this matter. At this moment, Su Yu had actually thought of this matter. Competition. He casually threw another 3 drops of Yuan Qi liquid to the Swan Ni. Su Yu said unhappily, I'll think of a way to look for it, but I can't find it. I haven't been here for 3 months. The Swan Ni's heart was tired. This was also my fault. If you don't come, we will really starve to death. Su Yu did not bother with it and fed them one by one. After feeding them, he was just about to leave when suddenly, a somewhat unpleasant scream entered his ears. Su Yu, I'm not dead yet. It's fine that you forgot about me last time, but you still want to forget about me this time. Su Yu was stunned. He looked around and the next moment, he saw a pitch-black thing. Fire Crow. Su Yu blinked and said after a long while, you're not dead yet. Why aren't you moving? You don't even have a sense of presence compared to the water people. The Fire Crow felt wronged. It was just a little black. Damn it, the last time this kid came, he did not pay attention to me. This time, if he did not speak, it would starve to death. Suyu patted his head and said helplessly, that seems to be the case. There are 6 living creatures here. I always thought there were 5. You don't have a sense of presence at all. The water people were at least number 1. It was fine if you were number 6. The key was that you were black, small, and did not make a sound. Who would still remember that you were alive? After throwing a drop of yuan chi liquid over, Fire Crow said unhappily, what about the last one? Scram. Take it or leave it. Suyu said impatiently, the last time, you did not make a sound. If you did not make a sound, then I'll take it that you are dead. Are you blaming me? He couldn't be bothered with it. Suyu looked around, he warned, all of you, be good and don't cause any trouble. If I get the heaven rank cultivation method and defeat my opponent, I'll get you guys some delicious food. If not, I'll have to go into seclusion to cultivate. You guys are starving. Don't blame me for not warning you guys. The monsters were helpless. If you can't defeat your opponent, then we'll just starve to death, right? The shadow had no choice but to say, if you still can't defeat him, you can chat with us more. After all, we've lived for many years, we can give you some pointers. Suyu scoffed. As he walked up, he said, don't try to fool me, I'm not that stupid. Swan and I, if you've contributed this time, I'll get you some meat to eat later. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 474, Heaven Rank Martial Arts, LRB. Please subscribe to the monthly 3. Chapter 474, Chapter 131 Heaven Rank Martial Arts, LRB. Please subscribe to the monthly. Swan and I wanted to cry, you're finally enlightened. Very good, this is a good start. Now, it only wanted to remind Suyu, don't forget, 3 days later, it's feeding time again, don't forget. Back on the ground. Suyu's eyes flashed with joy, heaven rank martial arts. And martial arts. This was a good thing. Mountain and sea looking for a secluded invitation. Suyu thought for a moment and pressed the button to inform the laboratory, but no one appeared. After thinking for a moment, he called Bai Feng again. Once the call was connected, Suyu heard Bai Feng's laughter. Little Yu, is there something you need from your teacher? Did you miss your teacher? Suyu shuddered. What's wrong with this fellow now? At the same time, Lu Hong was also speechless. This bastard was really so disgusting. He was cursing in his heart. After sending his disciple away, this bastard actually came to make a fool of himself again. If he had known earlier, he would not have cooperated with this bastard. Now, he was on a pirate ship. The thought of investing a large sum of money into this master and disciple made his heart ache. However, thinking about it again, without this master and disciple, he would not have been able to obtain these things this time. He felt a little more at ease. Teacher, I have something to ask you. Is that mountain and sea seeking invitation very important? Last time, that bastard Lu Hong said that it was the first prize of this divine arts competition. On the side, Lu Hong suddenly felt that things weren't good. At this moment, Bai Feng's expression changed. Looking at Lu Hong, his gaze could kill. Gritting his teeth, he hurriedly said, get first place. Let's say this first. We'll talk when we get back. After hanging up the phone, he looked at Lu Hong with eyes that could kill. Damn it, Lu Hong, you're courting death. Lu Hong said speechlessly, what does it have to do with me? You sold yourself to the black market and were bought by people from the monotheistic God language department. Everyone knows that it belongs to Elder Hong. You sold your master's things, and now there are a lot of people who know about it. It's not my decision to take it out as a reward. Bai Feng gritted his teeth. Damn it. These bastards were really nothing. Return the item to me. It's fine if you don't return it to me. Suyu must take first place. If you can't get it back, I'm not done with you. Bai Feng, you're being unreasonable. Lu Hong smiled bitterly and said, what does it have to do with me if Suyu can't take first place? Besides, you've already sold it. Are you afraid that others will find out? Scram! Bai Feng cursed. How could this be the same? Selling it was a private matter. There were only a few people who knew about it. Now that it was used as a reward, everyone knew about it. Moreover, this was a face slap. It was intentional. Bai Feng was a little displeased. He snorted and said, you people from the single divine language department are becoming more and more petty. Don't you find it disgusting? As for the post itself, it wasn't really a treasure. It was made of dragon silk, but this thing had already been written once, so it couldn't be written again. It was very fragile, and its value was greatly reduced. If it wasn't under the name of Hong Tan, it could only be sold for 20 to 30 merit points. With Hong Tan's name and the name of the Shanghai Realm Will, it would be a lot if it was worth 100 merit points. If it wasn't so, it wouldn't be used as a reward for the new students. It was mainly because of his fame. 100 merit points wasn't a small amount, but most people wouldn't spend this money to buy it. Lu Hong smiled faintly, I don't know if it's disgusting or not, but if you're uncomfortable, then that's right. But I don't think you need to worry. Suyu's already reached tier 2, so it shouldn't be hard for him to get first place, right? Humph. Bai Feng snorted. Do you think I'm stupid? The Shenwen Grand competition still depends on willpower. His willpower isn't strong. That's hard to say. His willpower isn't strong, but it's very mellow. After cultivating the God-expanding technique, when he fought with Zheng Yunhui previously, Zheng Yunhui couldn't even compare to him. In the end, he was even schemed against by his Tier 2 illusion and almost lost. These words contained too much information. For a moment, although Bai Feng remained expressionless, waves were stirred up in his heart. Previously, when Lu Hong mentioned the level 2 divine text, he thought that this guy knew the word kill and advanced, so he didn't pay too much attention to it. In the end, level 2 illusion. Spirit expanding technique. What the hell? He understood everything that Lu Hong said. When they were combined, he was a little dumbfounded. The blood character divine prose advanced. Suyu even cultivated the God-expanding technique. He had almost defeated Zheng Yunhui. Bai Feng felt that he had only been in closed-door cultivation for a few days. It felt like a few years had passed. He did not ask in detail. He would go back and ask Suyu about this matter. Glancing at Lu Hong, Bai Feng suddenly said disdainfully, "Idiot. Didn't you want to suppress my disciple? I thought you had some good tricks up your sleeve." They were all underhanded tricks. I actually think that he is getting better and better. Lu Hong was speechless. After a long while, he said, "I'm not in a hurry. I suddenly realized that his value is greater than yours." Lu Hong smiled and said, "I'm wondering if it'll be very interesting when he's in the air. You, Bai Feng, are just like this. He, Suyu, has more potential. If he's in the air, perhaps the entire single divine prose faction will pay attention to him. At that time, if I can suppress him, I will be able to better reflect my value." Bai Feng cursed in his heart. Who was he looking down on? Cut the crap. Give me 10,000 merit points. I'm useful. Lu Hong. He looked at Bai Feng silently. After a long while, he stood up. "I'll go and find Principal Zhou to turn myself in. I was wrong this time. I shouldn't have raised a tiger as a threat. I'll be in seclusion for a year or two. You guys can go and torment me. Damn it. Have you become addicted to scamming me?" You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 475, Heaven Rank Martial Technique 4. Chapter 475, Chapter 131 Heaven Rank Martial Technique 4. Asking for 10,000, go to hell. Bai Feng was not in a hurry. He smiled and said, I'm just joking, 5,000 points. You earned 25,000 points. Lu Hong was slightly stunned. The next moment, he laughed and said, you know it's 25,000. Isn't it? Bai Feng hesitated and said, no. Su Yu said it. That kid is interesting. Lu Hong suddenly thought of something and said with a faint smile, interesting. At this time, he suddenly remembered that Su Yu probably knew that he didn't lose 60,000 merit points, but he made it sound like he really took 60,000 merit points. After saying that, his eyes moved slightly and he said, Su Yu took several tens of thousands of merit points, but he didn't give you any? He only gave you 20,000. Bai Feng raised his eyebrows and said indifferently, of course I had a share. He gave me more than 10,000 before, but I have to subsidize the library pavilion's deficit to prevent you guys from finding trouble. More than 10,000 before. And now there was still 20,000. Lu Hong laughed and said with a sigh, not bad. Really not bad. Little rascal, you're good. You're lying as if it's true. You only took 5,000. A little more and you'll die a horrible death. King deserved to die a horrible death. To think that I took it seriously. If Bai Feng, that B** starred, had not said it out loud, he would have kept it a secret. Bai Feng seemed to have realized something and blinked. The next moment, he smiled and said, I'm just joking. We only took 20,000 points. That's all in total. The rest was taken by Zheng Yunhui. Scram. Lu Hong cursed angrily, you took more than half of it and you're still crying miserably at me. Are you going to scram or not? That was earned by my disciple himself. You made a fortune, and you have the nerve to not take a single cent. I have the nerve. Lu Hong was exasperated. Why was he embarrassed? Su Yu had the nerve to say that he was going to die a miserable death. What was there to be embarrassed about? Su Yu naturally wouldn't know about Bai Feng and Lu Hong's quarrel. At this moment, his thoughts were fluctuating. Heaven Rank Martial Technique. Divine Literature Competition. He hadn't paid much attention to it at first, but now he paid it extremely attention. First. Su Yu muttered. Even if he couldn't get first place, he still had to get this thing. As for how to get it, it shouldn't be difficult, right? That thing didn't give off a feeling of great value now. If he displayed the dignity of defending his grandmaster to the death, he had to get it back. He could always pay some price. No matter if I'm number one or if someone else is number one, I have to get it back. Mid-tier Heaven Rank Martial Technique. Su Yu smiled. He had finally gained something. In his opinion, there were still many things that he could plunder from the demons below, including blood essence, fur, cultivation techniques, and so on. However, I have to strengthen myself first. At this moment, Su Yu felt that he was far from being strong enough. If he could not even defeat Zheng Yunhui, how could he fight with others? Also, there are so many openings in this Heaven Rank Martial Technique. It's impossible for too many to overlap with me. Then, do I have to open another opening? Su Yu was in a dilemma. At this moment, he had already regarded the cultivation technique as his own. Opening 132 openings was more than the Aries art. If he obtained it and could not cultivate it, what was the use? Mystic Realm, Blood Essence, Cultivate. Su Yu took a deep breath. Perhaps he could open more apertures. At most, he could stay in Qianjun for a few days. If he opened more apertures, his foundation would be deep and his Yuan Qi would be strong. So what if he opened Qianjun? In any case, he was not in a hurry. He needed to sketch out 99 divine inscriptions. He was still far from it. Before he could sketch out 99 divine inscriptions, it would not make much of a difference whether he could enter 10,000 stones or not. Tomorrow, when Xia Huyo's blood essence arrives, I'll go to the mystic realm to cultivate. I'll come out after the divine inscriptions competition starts. Su Yu made up his mind. He realized that he had too many things to do. He vaguely felt that he might not be able to keep his 10,000 merit points. 500 drops of blood essence to help him cultivate the war god technique was not a big problem, but, what if he opened other apertures? So, 20,000 merit points are not worth spending. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 476, 3rd Entry Mystic Realm 1. Chapter 476, Chapter 132 3rd Entry Mystic Realm 1. September 22nd. A new day began. In the morning, Su Yu went to work and found something very interesting. He walked towards Wulan as usual, but, she ran away. With that aggrieved look, those who didn't know might think that Su Yu had done something. When Wulan saw Su Yu, she immediately grabbed her school bag and ran to the last row. It seemed that she wanted to stay away from Su Yu. This time, she might have suffered a heavy blow. Su Yu could not help but laugh. He did not mind. Another interesting thing was that Lin Yao saw Su Yu. He had a smile on his face and was very enthusiastic. Of course, in order to cover it up, Lin Yao still restrained himself a lot. The expression of, "You know, I know, others don't know," made Su Yu quite speechless. This guy, could it be that he really thought that he had secretly joined the single god language department? There were more changes than that. Just as Su Yu sat down, there was another person beside him. Jia Mingjun. This fatty was not tall and looked kind, but Su Yu was very wary of him. Last time, this guy was very arrogant during the monthly exam. He ate his food to go to the exam and used his oily hands to wipe Xia Chan's body. Everyone saw it and no one dared to underestimate him. Su Yu had almost never spoken to him before. At this moment, Jia Mingjun sat beside him. With a kind smile, Su Yu asked, "Student Jia, what's the matter?" "Nothing." Jia Mingjun looked at Su Yu and smiled as well. This kid really looked like a good person. However, this guy was really not a good person. Right now, the single divine literature department was still researching how to allocate their innate blood essence. These few researchers from the single divine literature department probably had their heads smashed open in the past 2 days. Su Yu smiled and did not speak anymore. Jia Mingjun, however, could not stay idle. He chuckled and said, "Su Yu, I heard that you beat Jing Yunhui. You beat him so badly that he hasn't come to class for a few days." In the class, everyone's gazes instantly converged. Xia Chan, Wan Mingze, and the others' expressions changed slightly. Su Yu had seriously injured Jing Yunhui. Was that true? Su Yu's heart trembled slightly. Although it was not completely unknown that he and Jing Yunhui were competing, the people who knew should be some big shots in the academy. The Divine Arts Department knew, the Xia family knew, and some big sellers in the black market also knew. How did this guy know? Su Yu was shocked, but his face did not show it. He said somewhat confusedly, "Student Jia, did you listen to some rumors again?" Then, Su Yu said loudly, "Everyone must be careful. Don't spread rumors. Now I feel that the atmosphere in the academy is a little bad. Yesterday, someone even spread rumors that my teacher was beaten to death. This is simply nonsense." Su Yu was somewhat indignant. Only my teacher doesn't care about such rumors. Otherwise, I, Su Yu, will also pursue the matter. Is it fun when the rumor monger dies? We are all civilized Master Reserve soldiers, how can we participate in such things? Student Jia, you are the same. Su Yu said seriously, rumors are born like this. Have you heard it? Who said it? Don't spout such baseless things. Don't say shocking things just to attract attention. This is not what a serious civilized master should do. Jia Mingjun was slightly stunned. Oh, not bad, you even bite me back. Jia Mingjun laughed. Then why did Jing Yunhui not come to class for a few days in a row? Before he could finish, his expression changed slightly. The next moment, Zheng Yunhui's face was flushed red and full of energy. He walked in with great strides. When Su Yu saw this, he was shocked. He had recovered. So fast. Even his injuries had not fully recovered. This fellow's injuries were worse than his. He had recovered just like that. Very soon, Su Yu regained his calm and said quickly, Student Jing Yunhui, someone said that you were seriously injured by me. I defeated you and you were unable to come to class. Why are you here? Jing Yunhui was slightly stunned. He glanced at Jia Mingjun beside him and said angrily, which grandson is spreading rumors about me? Do you not want to live anymore? Will I lose to you? Zheng Yunhui's face was full of dissatisfaction. He looked at Jia Mingjun and snorted. He said loudly, those villains who spread rumors about me behind my back, don't pretend to be innocent. What do you want to do? If you are not convinced, go up to the stage and fight. I will beat you until you call me daddy. Jia Mingjun's face turned black. Fine, you even sang a double act with me. I don't know who the two of you are. Jia Mingjun smiled and looked at Jing Yunhui. He narrowed his eyes and said, Jing Yunhui, are you scolding me? I scolded you. Jing Yunhui sneered. Whoever dares to spread rumors about me, I will scold them. What can you do about what I said? Jia Mingjun admitted it directly and did not think much of it. He said disdainfully, I just heard someone say that. So what? Can't I open my mouth? I am not a person who likes to cause trouble, and I am not afraid of trouble. Don't be arrogant with me. Do you want to go on stage and spar with me? I will be waiting for you at any time. At this moment, the entire class's attention was focused. They were watching the show. Jia Mingjun, who had the best performance in last month's exam, was going up against the powerful Jing Yunhui. At this moment, even Su Yu was interested. He actually wanted to test just how strong Jia Mingjun was. Jing Yunhui, this fellow, went up on stage to spar. That was quite suitable. Just as he was thinking. He heard Jing Yunhui sneer and say, what qualifications do you have to compete with me? Your father will make it to the top 100 next month. Don't think that you can compete with me just because you did well in the previous assessment. You can talk about it after you make it to the top 100. If you can't make it, then you're trash. What's there to compete with me for? I'm afraid that I'll dirty my noble hands by beating you up. Jia Ming was so angry that he wanted to curse. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 477, Third Entry Arcane Realm. Chapter 477, Chapter 132 Third Entry Arcane Realm. Dirty his noble hands. This kid, why was he asking for a beating? Jing Yunhui was not stupid. Jia Mingjun was the first in the Civilization Ambition assessment. It was easy. Who knew what was going on? Why was he being used as a pathfinder? It was better to let him kill his way into the top 100. He could also see how strong he was at the same time. At this moment, no one was in the mood to pay attention to this. Wan Mingze said in surprise, Yunhui, are you going to make it into the top 100 next month? What's wrong? Jing Yunhui smiled and said, it's the 8th layer of Qianjun, and the full degree of willpower is more than 85%. Isn't that enough? The people of my old Jing family are straightforward and can do whatever they want. Does it feel good to be an old turtle? Wan Mingze forced a smile and said, Yunhui, we don't have your strength. Jing Yunhui laughed and said, is that so? Are the family members of Mansion Master Wan so weak? They can't even be compared to our Zhangjin College. That's a little shameless. Wan Mingze frowned and said indifferently, you're now a member of the civilized college. Yeah, why? Jing Yunhui smiled and said, I'm from the Institute of Civilization, and my whole family is from Zhangjin College. Do you have a problem with that? I want to be the first student to make it into the top 100 this year. Do you have a problem with that? I want to suppress you. Do you have a problem with that? Wan Mingze frowned. After looking at him deeply for a long time, he said calmly, Yunhui, since you're so confident, why don't you make it into the top 100 first? That's for sure. Jing Yunhui said casually, if I can't get on, do I count on you guys? When this guy came, he would refute this and that with an extremely arrogant attitude. However, he was extremely strong. At this moment, the class was frighteningly quiet. The others did not get involved in this and the few evildoers did not say anything either. Jia Mingzhen cursed in his heart. This crafty guy. If I challenge him to a one-on-one fight, he will despise me for not being qualified. Believe it or not, I will put a sack on you tonight. At this moment, there were not many people paying attention to Suyu. Suyu secretly smiled and glanced at Jia Mingzhen from the corner of his eyes. He was secretly shocked. This fellow seemed to be eager to have a one-on-one fight with Jing Yunhui. Jing Yunhui had just mentioned his own strength. In this way, he was still eager to have a fight with him. What did he mean by that? Stronger than Jing Yunhui? Jing Yunhui's true strength is comparable to the fighter Dao's 10,000 stone first or second stage realm. This guy is stronger than him. Suyu secretly noted it down. As for himself, his current strength was actually still inferior to Jing Yunhui's. Of course, with the explosion of his blood essence, his lethality also reached 10,000 stone. However, in other aspects, he was still a little lacking. The divine text could make up for it. All in all, Suyu judged that he had roughly the strength of a first-level 10,000 stone, the all-round kind. Didn't it mean that the lethality of a third-level 10,000 stone explosion was comparable to a third-level 10,000 stone explosion? My father seems to be only at the first-level 10,000 stone. Suyu suddenly burst into laughter. If his father was still at home, it would be hard to say who would win or lose if he fought with his father. He could imagine his father's shocked expression. The brief conflict disappeared after the coach entered the classroom. The news that Suyu had seriously injured Jing Yunhui had naturally become a rumor. No one took it seriously anymore. Jing Yunhui was still alive and kicking. He still had to make it into the top 100 next month. How could he be seriously injured? He endured until the end of the class. Suyu hurriedly walked out, went downstairs, and found a corner. Soon, Xia Huyo walked over. Suyu, you don't know how hard it was for me to collect these things for you. Xia Huyo complained incessantly, last night, I ran 7 or 8 times through the night, running through the black market and the Xia Trading Company. In the end, I begged Grandpa and Grandma to gather all the things for you. Just the expenses alone cost me several hundred merit points. Cut the crap. Suyu couldn't be bothered to listen to his complaints. He took a small box, looked around, opened the box, and checked it. He was excited. So many bottles. 500 drops of mountain-breaking bull essence blood, stone level, 5,000 merit points. There are 399 other types of essence blood. It's impossible to collect all of them at one time. They're all in the Thousand June realm because some of them are too little and have some special effects. I spent a total of 920 merit points. I'll erase some of them for you. I'll count it as 900 merit points. Xia Huyo did not even gasp for breath as he continued, I haven't gotten that many cheap papers so far. I've collected 20 books for you, but some of them are more than 100 merit points. I've spent a total of 2,300 merit points. A total of 8,200 merit points. Xia Huyo said, do you still want to collect the rest? If you want to collect them, give me another 2 or 3 days. Continue collecting. There's no need to rush. I can do it in a few days. Suyu checked the items, but he was not as strict as he was the first time. After working with Xia Huyo for a long time, he still had some trust. Moreover, this guy usually did not take his deposit and paid directly on delivery. This reduced a lot of risks for Suyu. After paying 8,200 merit points, Suyu was left with 11,800 points. 8,200 merit points, the black market price was more than 400 million. In exchange for these few items on hand. Only cultivators did not care much about money. Otherwise, the lives of ordinary people would have long been thrown into chaos. Suyu never thought that one day, in order to buy a small box of items, he would throw out a few 100 million in one go. If his father knew, he would probably collapse. It was just a few 100 million. Suyu wasn't the only one who felt pained. Even Xia Huyo, who came from a large family. At this moment, he couldn't help but say, Suyu, you can take it easy. It's not that easy to earn money. Even if you go to the heavenly battlefield and kill an early-stage soaring heavens expert every day, that would only be around 100 merit points.